And welcome back, everybody, to our third match of the night. I'm, of course, Midnight, joined by Mendrix, and it is time for the best of three finals here over at the Meta HSE Championship rounds. Of course, these are the winners' finals to say who will be moving on to the next stage of the tournament as kings, I suppose you can say, Mendrix would be the best way to perhaps word it here. We do have Kingsgrove North facing off against their opponents today, which are, of course, going to be Mansfield State High School. So we do have the New South Wales representative facing off against one of the Queensland representatives here today to see who makes that next step forward and who has to fight their way through the lower bracket, which is taking place both today and taking place next week. And of course, the next week games will be streamed, obviously, so you know exactly where you need to be next week to catch those matches. But that's a problem for future us, Mendix. Right now, the real us have to deal with this particular matchup here.
The real
Mansfield,
us?
the real us, the us
Do
today,
you mean
the us in
do you
this
mean the
now.
current us? Because
Yes.
technically the future us is the real us as well.
I mean, technically speaking, yes, counterpoint, stop being big brain. The things we have to deal with right now is, of course, the Kingsgrove North versing off against Mansfield State. Now,
Yep.
we did witness a pretty odd composition coming out of, I call it odd.
You say odd, I say
Yes, I
brilliant.
say odd.
I really love that composition for them to run the double support in the bot lane. Basically have one member, of course, who's going to be absorbing most of the gold, one who's going to be using that support item to get it through other means. And then what you do from there is have a massive assassin with the capability of team killing capability sit in the wings and basically use your double support to prompt up the rest of the team. It makes sense. It was one of those things that perhaps you go, oh, does this work? I mean, it works in theory, doesn't work on paper, and hell did it work. It went up against a traditional competition with a very strong team, and it was able to come out trumps. So what was put together by the Panda Republic was pretty damn good. I'd love to see the continuation of these, homebrew crazy compositions that they can put together. Let's see if they can continue to do that, or if they do decide to go back to more traditional means.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't stick with these sort of oddball compositions, right? They're insanely hard to plan around. Like, who expects a Katarina Graves to be the only actual damage output source that you're bringing together? Well, the answer is clearly your opponents for this particular matchup in Mansfield not letting that fly this round here. The first thing they remove on the table is the Katarina, which I wholeheartedly approve of.
And I agree as well. If you're looking for a way to shut down that composition with a single ban, Katarina would be probably the best way to go about it. If you start to look around, okay, well, what would be the sort of, I guess, substitutes for the Katarina in this scenario here? It would probably look to be something along the lines of it being who's someone could really substitute well into it. It's got, I know what I'm talking. I've got the person, but he escapes. He eludes my mind at this moment in time. But the idea is that you do remove the Katarina. That's sort of the linchpin of that composition. If you're going to make it work, you need to find a much different replacement for it, which will make things harder. Yeah, I feel you could possibly pull off the same sort of move with a Lysandra per se. That would be something that would substitute well into it. But I guess now we're going to have a completely different play around here because we can see that the Panda Republic have done preparation. They have removed, of course, what seems to be the Jacks, the Fiddlesticks, and of course the Aatrox. So that means they have done some real preparation to what these players on their opposing side are going to be picking up, and have decided to rectify that.
Yeah, but not the only ones who have done some good scouting here, Mendrix. Says the look at the bands on the other side, the Katarina, the Rengar, which we do know lurks in the Kingsgrove wheelhouse.
Yep.
Wasn't pulled out last game, wasn't needed to. The Graves suited that role a lot better. And of course, the Graves is the final thing that has fallen victim. So let's see. It looks like Kingsgrove North are going to have to bring in a fresh-faced composition up against their opponents here. Obviously, their opponents are the Fiddlesticks ban against them, and Trundle rears his head yet again. I believe that is a 100% pick rate for the troll in the jungle, and the Lulu picked up. I'm a bit surprised that is that heavy priority on, of all champions, an enchanter.
Yeah, and what's interesting as well with the Lulu here is that at the same time also completely shuts down any chance of the composition that we saw from the Panda Republic beforehand as well. So if they had perhaps substitute champions they could put into the mix, that's not going to be the case. They're going to have to come up with something completely unique. As we can see here, they seem to be doing something along those lines, but the Seraphine's been picked up once again, and maybe they do have those substitutes ready.
They could. Sona is always a possibility. Tarek is also a flexible option. If you're looking for that. Hell, Lakama that we've already seen a few times today.
Ziggs is open.
Oh, Ziggs is also open. A lot of different options that can be thrown around if you're not so comfortable rocking, a traditional marksman in the bottom lane. I don't have to like it, but I can't say that it doesn't work coming in here. As the fun lock in is a
Ooh.
Morgana Seraphine for the bottom lane. So a little less shielding, a little bit more crowd control to boot.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting here. I really love how Penrith just have things prepared that we're just not expecting to see. Morgana was obviously at one point in time one of those premier junglers. I can't believe I was saying this a few patches back, and it just fell out of favor after sort of the nerf hams came in, the adjustments came into across, and wasn't really picked up as much. But on the flip side here, we can see that Paps can still play that mid lane role, can still play that AD role as well, can be flexed a number of ways here. And also on the flip side, it still hasn't really had too much given away as well. I mean, when I look at the Trundle, when I look at Lulu, these are also champions that can be flexed as well, whether they decide to go into the top lane or into the mid or top, respectively. Of course, Trundle might make an appearance in the jungle.
Yeah, you'd expect it to be jungle right now. The Jinx is the only thing you can lock in with any amount of certainty there. And I must say, I would love the Lulu to be in the support role. I've never been a fan of Lulu as a solo laner, just because I feel like she doesn't do a whole lot. So put out with the Jinx in the bottom lane, especially if your support player isn't comfortable playing Thresh. I know a lot of people aren't, as much as I think the champion is a must go to. I know who'd have worked that out with my background currently being all of the Thresh.
I feel like Thresh would be a really good pick here now as well. Just provides that extra protection for the Jinx. Could do a number of things there as well. But mind you, Jinx Lulu is definitely a characteristic bot lane carry pick as well. So
Yeah.
you generally have what seems to be a pretty strong bot lane already picked up here. You don't need to just flex that Lulu into another lane if you want to. You can just go with that there and just continue to round out the rest of the team. And that is a really rounded out team there already put into place. I love what the Red Side has put together here. In terms of that, you've got a tank, you've got fantastic wave clear, you've got both ability and AD threats, you've got as well an enchanter support. All you really need now is a bruiser to really round things up in the top lane, and you've got a fantastic team composition put together.
Yeah, but they're not going to be the only ones here, Mendrix. The Kindred was banned last game. It will now be picked up here. A beautiful substitute for the Seraphine in the bottom lane, right? Like you need a physical damage deal of some kind. DPS is mandatory.
Do you mean the Graves?
I mean the Graves, but I think the Kindred is better than the Graves in the role that it fulfills. Is no way. No way.
Yeah way.
So is this Seraphine or Morgana mid?
Yes. I think it's Seraphine with Kai'Sa and Morgana mid.
I love Morgana mid. So I'm all for it. I still play Morgana mid. Like that's my life.
So the thing with Morgana mid, right, and I really wanted to select it. The thing that hurts her is that her cooldowns are relatively on a long period of time, which means that when you do go up against the likes of Orianna should start to bully you out. You really do need to get at least 2 items under your belt to have a relatively good cooldown reduction, and then at the flip side of things, be able to obviously clear out the waves as time goes on. So very interesting to see how this does play out for that mid lane. Hell, it could be a set mid for all we know. We've seen this happen before, so I'd be interested to see if that ends up being the case. Most likely, more than not, expect it to be a Morgana in the mid lane. They're swapping things around, to be honest. I don't know which panda is which, so who knows what ends up going to be the scenario here. Hell, we could have a Seraphine jungle if we're looking at this.
I mean, I would expect a lot more for the likes of the Seraphine or Morgana mid. It just, because again, look at the matchup you're into. Jinx Lulu. While Jinx Lulu can play aggressive when you speed up shields, they don't have crowd control, or at least not crowd control that should be catching you. The slow from the zap is annoying. The CC from the flame chompers is annoying, but you should be able to dodge around them. So that's why I feel like Seraphine would probably be better.
With Morgana, you don't even need to dodge them. You just shield, go.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I personally think that you just have Seraphine in the bottom lane there with the Morgana in the mid. No, Saint has the Morgana, so that's definitely Morgana support then, with Seraphine in the middle lane. I completely missed that.
It could be Seraphine mid too. I mean, there's a number of ways you can go about it.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, look, the way I'm looking at the positioning right now, it looks like it's a Seraphine jungle, which is probably not the case. But
No,
weirder things have happened in League of Legends, especially in high school. In the high school meta competition.
they have, but
Competition.
Kingsgrove doesn't often line up in role order. Like I don't recall a single time they've actually been in
They
role order
have not,
before.
yeah.
So
Well, part of it's because, like, hey, which panda is it? You don't know.
yeah.
You don't know.
Um,
It could be a different panda there. They've
yeah,
done a really good job of hiding which panda is which. It's
yeah,
like, imagine like
deception.
imagine being, like one of those card dealers that plays one of those rigged carnival games where you're trying to hide hide the ball inside the cup, pick the ball, pick the right puck. You could do this with the pandas, right? You just don't know which panda is which. As opposed to you could be like, hey, we've thrown our top laner mid, haha, have fun with that. You know what I mean? I don't know. We just don't know for sure because that's how their names are.
Yeah, no, the way it's currently looking, like it is going to be set in the top lane, obviously with the Kindred and Jungle, Seraphine mid, which I must say I love. I play a decent amount of it because it's actually really good wave clear. We saw it before, and then of course it will be the Kaiser Morgana down in the bot lane together. So
Are you sure about this, Midnight?
I'm fairly
Are
confident that
you sure? Do
that's
you know?
how
Do
it's
you, do
going
you
to
know
come out.
which panda is which, or have they actually
No idea.
confused you? They've
I'm
confused you with the carnival game already, haven't they?
I have given up playing the carnival
You've
game.
lost your $5.
I've lost
The
my
the
$5. I found
the
the
man
cotton
the
candy
man
though.
the man with the brilliant mustache has managed to beat you well and truly at this point in time.
Yeah, but I've gotten away with like a small plushie, something like a
It's just, you realize he's just giving that to you so you can come back and give him another $5.
I
The
can't
plush
re-
the plushie's worth 89 cents. He's got a
I can't
million in
reach
the
the
back of
plushies,
his
man. They're
truck.
too far away. I've got a bunch of Poro plushies. I can't even reach them from where I'm currently sitting. But that's a problem for future. Okay, so 40 seconds before we do end spectator delay Mendrix. Just give us a quick. So again, we know that from the side of Mansfield, it's a pretty strong team fight
Yep.
composition. Oriana, Jinx, Lulu. What are Kingsgrove really looking for? Are they just looking for team fights as well with this double AD?
Look, I'm not giving you anything until I see which positions the pandas are in because I do not
Damn
wish
it!
to be tricked by the damn bloody man with the brilliant mustache. All right, that's what's happening here right now. I want to see
Fair
which
enough.
panda is where, and then I'll give you an idea what the team plan is going to be.
Fair enough. Well, without further ado, guys, we will be diving into the first game of our best of three winners bracket grand final. So do not go anywhere. It is showtime here at Meta HSE. And it is time, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with the first match of our best of threes about to kick off here. I'm, of course, still Midnight, joining me with Mendrix. And Mendrix, we do have a pretty good idea of who is going where. It is basically confirmed at this point that it is going to be the Morgana support, the Seraphine in the middle lane, and, of course, the set up in the top lane. So that's
Are you
where,
sure?
yes, that is where Kingsgrove are going.
Are you sure?
Yes. So
How did you look into the future and you didn't
I am a prophet with years beyond what I look.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
That is all you'll get out of me there. So now that you know that, what kind of vibe are you getting from this Kingsgrove setup here? As Mansfield, I love the level 1 potential counter engage, but standard line scrimmage from Kingsgrove.
Yeah, look, but what they're looking to do is see if they're going to catch someone looking for a ward here. That's what Manfield's plan is. They might just drop in, maybe 2 people, typically like to hold hands, look for these quick little wards there. They get an idea of what the jungler's start is going to be, and then from there they can build their game plan. So this is why you do these stack starts from time to time. But like you said, it looks like for the Pandas, they're going to be doing a very simple line of scrimmage, not giving anything away, more than happy just to throw some wards into the river, and hopefully they can track the jungler that way when they do decide to rear their head to grab that scuttle.
Yeah.
On the flip side of things, when I look at this game plan that's going to be into place here, it's definitely going to be a rough one. I imagine it's still going to be a support built Seraphine in regards to this here. So I imagine that the Seraphine will probably be doing a number of things there alongside probably the same build that we saw in the previous match. But what that does mean, of course, is that a lot of it is going to be on the Kai'Sa here to remain safe. You don't exactly have a Graves level amount of grit in terms of looking for those team fights, which means things do need to be played a bit more skirmishy heavy. I feel like they would kind of probably look to be getting their advantages around that 10 to 15 minute mark. If they haven't really accumulated it from there, the traditional competition should come out on top.
You'd assume so there, and we do see there's actually looking like an early gank coming through here in the middle lane closer. It's actually taking down Solo, forced to flash there, but Pan, one more flash then, and that's actually his first blood coming in at 2 minutes.
And this is what I was talking about, getting those skirmishes out early, nudging out those advantages there. And really, it makes sense that the power of the Kindred in that early stages of the game, once that red buff is there, is pretty much unmatched. It really is going to be on the Xin Zhao to just steer clear of the Kindred at most points in time, see if you can find a way to farm safely, which normally doesn't happen.
That's the thing. More fighting going down this time in the bottom lane here. The Jinx taking a hammering there. Blazing Spirit forced to flash, forced to heal, forced to get the hell out of danger there. The aggression of Saints Morgana, something that we don't typically see a lot right now in competitive Mendrix. Right now, it's very much with these bruiser on the bot lanes, but everything tonight that we've seen successful has been these enchanters making their comeback. And, well, so far, you can't fault them for what is working.
Well, exactly right. You know, why fix it if it ain't broke at this point in time? And when I look at the way this actually the performance coming through as well from the Panda Republic, they really seem to be coming out of the gates flying at this moment in time. It feels like Mansfield has just sort of fallen down a little bit, and here we seem to actually be a little bit of a pincer attack here. Of course, with the Xin Zhao, I think maybe this is
what a pillar! What a pillar there. Set has got nothing. Set's going to go down here, and I feel that's a bait. The Kindred's like, hey, I'm around. I can help you. Was that stolen by Closer? Oh, no, it wasn't. It looked like it got stolen away by Closer there, but yeah, unfortunately not taken away. But that is the first mark of the Kindred going down there. Obviously, we'll track that the longer that the game goes, but it's just mid lane again.
Yeah, you got to keep going for it as well. But you can see here we got the Xin Zhao as well. Let's see how this plays out, because I don't think he wins this.
No, he misses the wind becomes lightning.
Yeah, you can see here, this is a real rough moment here, because yes, he managed to get at least the kill back onto set here, but on the flip side of it, as you can see, the Kindred now is just going to be able to push so much further ahead. He's already got that level advantage. He's going to be able to get 2 scuttles in return as well. And this is when it begins to become very scary when you're the jungler on the other side. Because the Kindred will start to look to track you. It's starting to get some wards out as well. We'll begin to realize where you are. And if you're not, look for ganks. And directly afterwards, if it does know where you're going to be, we'll actually look to counter jungle. We'll actually look to get in. And specifically when I look at this bot lane, I feel like the most points in time that Hats is really going to be most vulnerable is going to be when he's on these bottom side of the maps, purely because it seems that the pressure and lane priority is always going to be in the favor of the Panda Republic this way, or on this side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of Kai'Sa Morgana, right? The Jinx Lulu, it can definitely do well, but the problem is it needs time, right? Jinx needs 2-3 items to really come online there. The Lulu, you don't pick Lulu for the laning phase, typically. You pick Lulu because in the mid to late game, I personally, I think she's insane. I think she's one of the best defensive supports out there, beyond maybe the likes of Thresh and Janna, right? Because of the Wild Growth, the Polymorph, the shielding, everything that she provides to keep the Jinx alive. And if you can get to the late game, you and I have both seen enough Jinx gameplay that says, well, but never mind. Oh, the TP even! Wow! What an early TP just from the Wait, that I just realized that's a
That's
Seraphine in mid, so that's not even that bad of a TP.
That's a two-prong TP, really, at the same time, because not only do you force the flash out of hats, you get full control, of course, of the river jungle, and you've got a quick return back to lane. You also get full control over this dragon. This is a three-prong TP choice there. It's a really good presence of mind here from the Panda Republic to use that cooldown in this particular way, because it allows them to snag, again, the summoner spell from hats, also gets them back to lane relatively quick, and at the same time also gets them to control the dragon. It is pretty much, a fantastic choice to spell at that point in time.
Yeah, and it looked odd at first, and that's why I was really confused. And then you take into account the top laner isn't gonna, Kip Kangaroo ain't gonna be TPing. That's not gonna happen. And the closer, this Orianna's TP is already burned.
Yep, and that comes back again to that aggressive play that was played out by the Panda Republic by getting, of course, Kindred to get in early for the quick gank. And that wasn't even like a free TP that they got out of it. It costed them as well, because that was a TP to get back to lane after dying early on in the game. That's probably the worst way that you want to be using your TP, because one, you don't get to go back to lane to actually buy something to give you an advantage, right? You're actually just going back to lane with the TP with no advantage. If anything, you're probably at a disadvantage because you haven't been able to buy anything and now you're behind the 8-ball. And more damage coming out.
Yeah, Blazing Spirit, one more hit will do it there, but they're not able to get the damage output. The exhaust slow coming out clutch. But that's a problem right now because the Jinx needs to just stay alive, needs to keep farming. And while we do see Saint and AD carry Panda are low and they are going to be forced to recall, every time we've looked in bot lane, Blazing Spirit has been suffering. And not going to say, oh no, get some color come stolen away there. Shockwave comes through, is flashed out, but a beautiful stun coming through will lock down hats. And yeah, there's no escape from that performance.
That was an amazing flash out of Kindred. That was pretty much everything you wanted to. Not only did you waste the ultimate, you also saved your life and then allowed you to reposition afterwards, of course, when you got the support from Seraphine. That literally, that was one of the most clutchest flashes we've seen throughout this competition.
That was a brilliant work there, and now does give them a nice lead. 1,000 gold at 8 minutes coming up to 8 minutes, I should say, is a brilliant position for Mansfield. Sorry, not Mansfield, sorry, Kingsgrove North, to be honest. I should say Mansfield. I'm a bit worried normally, but then again, you've got to remember that this is a composition that scales brilliantly, which most times, Mendrix, I would feel fine by, being a little bit behind in the early game because, hey, that happens sometimes, right? We're seeing a gank on top side here. Subjugate used to weaken down the resistances. Haymaker comes out, but unfortunately, even with the showstopper, the only thing stopping, mate, is your heart.
Yeah. I kind of dislike the way Set played that one out. I would have much preferred it if after he used his Q, he just walked behind directly afterwards and then looked to use his ultimate to bring them into tower. That actually would have been a chance to get away. Also, I'm not sure if the flash came on after he died, or it came off right there and as well that moment of time. It would have been really well-timed gank coming through from hats if that was the case. But to be honest, I feel like could have been probably better played from Set to escape. But, when it's all said and done, I still see it being, obviously them just taking advantage of some tempo. Because, of course, everything was on the bottom side of the map for a very long time here for the Panda Republic.
Yeah. And on to the point I was trying to say before we saw the play up on the top half of the map here, is for Mansfield State High School, normally I would feel fine with them falling a little bit behind in a team fight composition because you just haven't got as strong a laners, right? Like, you don't pick Jinx Lulu for the laning phase. You're not picking Orianna because you want to dumpster lane. You're picking Orianna because she's a brilliant team fight champion. Okay, I'm going to put everything I want to say on hold. Look at what Kip Kangaroo is doing, Mendrix, and tell me that isn't the most... I've seen this build. I know exactly what this build is. I have a friend who plays this. It is... I haven't got words to describe the build that is Essence Reaver into Immortal Shield Bow into Infinity Edge third item. That is what Kip Kangaroo is doing right now.
I mean, look, considering how accelerated Kip Kangaroo is at the moment, I like the play. Sometimes you really need to just knock down where you are on a particular side of the map and say, hey, I'm doing so well at the moment, I can happily come in here and really begin to pull an advantage for the team, and that might end up being in this team fight here.
Yeah, well, does use the Crescent Guard to get out in one piece there, and even the Orianna Ball and speed up gets them out alive, eh? I'm a bit surprised they managed to get out of there alive by hats, but hey, if it works, right? As we're seeing the two top laners traded out. And I think our top lane Panda is looking at this like, excuse you, what? What? Why do you have crit? You are a Trundle. What is going on?
Okay, well, the big strong thing about the the Essence Reaver here is not really it's not the crit, it's the ability haste. It's the fact that he's going to be able to continue to use more build, like more pillars, more bites, of course, more and especially his ultimate more often. It's really ridiculous to deal with because obviously Panda's gonna be like, well, I'm dying, I need to build defensives just to stay alive. And he's like, well, I'm just gonna shred your defensives with my ultimate. So you really are in a lose-lose situation when the Trundle's ahead of the curve and then is building like this.
Yeah. And I think the most annoying part of this build. Oh, give us a second. Oh, the Tom connects! Goodbye, Shiro. That is CeeLo. That was a nice attempt there. It's double TP coming. This is double TP. This needs to work out. You are burning everything in the kitchen sink. The Super Mega Death Rocket does not connect. The pillar isn't brilliant. The Shockwave doesn't connect either, courtesy of flashes. And everything was thrown. And now it's a disaster. Kingsgrove can start clearing house here. The engage from Mansfield completely goes downhill. They will lose 3 members total, and the dragon will be secured by Kingsgrove as well. What a play, and what a turnaround by Kingsgrove.
Yeah, everything there was too clutch on it. They came too late to the party when they decided to blow their TPs. The actual retreat there from Panda Republic was on point. And as you can see there, Panda were happy to blow their initial cooldowns to escape what was going to be engaged. They jumped to the tower, relays too late. They had overextended. But then, as you can see, Panda had come in. Another teleport had also been burned away by the set. And that just meant they were able to not only get the kills, but get the dragon. And now, again, what is going to be one of the first meaningful leads in the competition. As you can see, they're well and truly ahead now by 2k.
Yeah, and on the back of a reactive play, what a move! Like, because that was Mansfield made the play. They double TP.
It was two reactive plays. It was two reactive plays, right? Because their initial TP response was due to a roam from Seraphine. Seraphine then came down. They had obviously put themselves in to force them to get that initial kill onto Blazing Spirit. That meant that from there, they're like, all right, sweet, we've got the kill here. We're good to go, or we're good to roll. Directly afterwards, they said, you know what? We can punish the fact that they've overextended here. Let's use the TPs. By the time they'd use it, the rest of the team for the Panda Republic had already begun their retreat. They had decided to go, sweet, we're going to win. We're going to back away. We're not going to try and push for more. As we can see here, those sets under attack once again.
Yeah, and the crit Trundle does some nice damage output, but Kingsgrove taking down low. Will need to dodge out a few bits of damage. Hats does. Oh my lord, Panda! That was an absolute ton of burst there. You will eventually fall, but my god, that was disgusting.
Yeah, there was just no respect there from Kip Kangaroo when you've put so much of your power in built into your abilities and then not using them. That means you're going to fall down here. Look at this damage here from Kindred. Monstrous!
Excuse you? You may... Oh, Mendrix. It's 13 minutes into the game. He has 8 stacks. What the hell?
Yeah. I think we understand why Kindred has been banned away majority of the time. The Panda Republics do decide to jump on the map. But...
How? How have you gotten 8 stacks when you have... Okay, so let's go with the assumption that somehow Panda...
He likes to farm the stacks, mate. That's all there comes down to it.
That is some of the best Kindred I've ever seen in 7 years of casting, Mendrix. That I've ever seen a Kindred do that crap.
You haven't played against enough good Kindreds if that's the case, mate. They are terrifying. When as someone who plays jungle and has played it in the higher echelons of play, a good Kindred terrifies me. Because this is what they do. They get their stacks very early. They just become unmanageable from the start. And then they have an ability which makes them immortal. There's a lot that these guys have. That's just ridiculous. Here we go. The difference when cooldowns are used.
Yeah, the difference when cooldowns are used. Their hats decides, no, I'm not even going to get involved here. Shockwave plays on both! Oh, what a turnaround there. Silo won't even fall to the damage output. This is a lovely sign of life. Yes, you may be down significantly, but these are the signs of life, Mendrix, that you need to have if you want to have any chance of recovering a game state that you're behind.
Well, on the flip side of that, when you look like, hey, how did that death actually happen? They were just way too far overextended. You've got infrastructure around the map that you could look to go for. You don't need to push down the same lane the entire game. They literally could have just backed away, bought some items, look to push through the mid lane, look to push to the top lane, get something back from them that way. You've got Shelly up in the next minute and 20 seconds. It's really good to actually just bring some of those resources towards that top side, force a bit of pressure, get those wards down, get the objective that you need. You don't have the dragon now. Well, the dragon's going to be in the next minute 20 as well, I guess you could say. But to be honest, you can literally just go from one point of the map to the other because, of course, Shelly will be up first.
Yeah. Man, I'm still in awe of this Kindred, honestly. Like, this is 3-0-2. Already has the Kraken Slayer.
This is a terrifying Kindred. You, at this point, this Kindred can literally 1v1 anyone. There is no one on the team that can actually handle her 1v1. Even Kip Kangaroo. Kip Kangaroo will just get munched.
Yeah, because Kip Kangaroo, in order to make this build work, needs to get on top of the Kindred. Good luck. What a dark binding coming through. That's going to be a dead Orianna closer. Flashes, but unfortunately doesn't save them. What the hell's that range? As the Seraphine ultimate doesn't matter there. The Panda is diving into the back line, but there comes that Lamb's Despite, that immortality that you were talking about, Mendrix. One member of Mansfield's falls, but it feels like they lost that fight wholeheartedly.
And everything that comes through, this massive power push they put to play here, was all made possible because of how accelerated this Kindred is. You could just see immediately one catch meant instantly the death of Closer. Then they continue the follow through there. The only reason we were able to do such a astounding push forward was because of how much Kindred understood the limitations of the character, was able to jump in, of course, get more damage, force their opponents out even further, and then come out scot-free because of using that Lamb's Respite in such an effective way. And not only did they just get a massive push in the mid lane off the back of this, they also managed to get the Shelly as well, which is now just going to line up so perfectly because they can just go from like one objective to whatever. I don't think there's any chance here now for Mansfield to actually continue this fight.
Yeah, well, you say that, but they're feeling it there as the Lulu dies instantaneously. Mansfield forced to back away the Orianna. No shockwave available. The Xin Zhao committing for the fight here, but I'm not so sure that's the play, Captain. As Kip Kangaroo goes marching in, Kip Kangaroo goes down. Blazing forced to flash, but it's not gonna matter. As Mansfield, well, you warned them, Mendrix. You warned them that they couldn't continue this fight, but they decided they could go for that one, and unfortunately, only Closer escapes with their life.
Yes, this is where you start to look at it and go, okay, how do these guys really, bring this back? What do they need to do? And it all comes down to displacing the Kindred. You have to understand, okay, right, she doesn't have Lamb's Respite at the moment. We need to make sure that we can actually draw her in. Use, of course, the Shockwave in the right way. Use, of course, what's going to be the pillar beforehand. This needs to be the target that you take out. And if she does have the Lamb's Respite available, as you can see, that damage, just one more auto attack. Yep. Went too far.
No.
That's what you need to do.
I mean, they went too far, but the problem is now... Oh, Blazing Spirit, no! Gets the shutdown, but gets taken down themselves there. What the hell?
That was just overextension here. I feel now Panda Republic getting a little bit too comfortable. Perhaps sitting on, eating too much of the same bamboo from time to time means that you do get a little bit sloppy. So I feel like what they've decided to do there was a little bit of a throwaway. Definitely something that was needed by Mansfield to remain relevant in this game, because that was a decent gold injection. That was 2 big shutdowns. At the same time, though, they're still 5k down. They're still down 3 dragons at this moment in time as well. And by the way, when Kindred and, of course, Kaiser get themselves back onto the map, they're just going to be freshly bought as well. I mean, looking at it now, you said the Kraken Slayer is finished, has Aruna and Hurricane as well. We look on the flip side of things, Kaiser's got the Collector as well as a Kraken Slayer as well. So these guys can definitely mint out some pretty deep damage, and they've got really good catch in both Seraphine and, of course, the combination of the Morgana. So things looking very difficult here now for Mansfield.
Oh no.
Oh, he's dead.
Because he gets his red buff, but unfortunately is going to be donated right back up. For all the range, you can't actually hit them! For all the range your Kindred has, the Crescent Guard denies it as a Shockwave comes in for the flank that does force it where, as the Panda is forced to run there. Diving into the back line, though, is the set. A bit of a disaster. The Lamb's Respite keeping this Kindred alive. The Pillar in a pretty awkward place, but unfortunately it will not save Kip Kangaroo, who will have to hop his way dead back to base.
Yeah, again, this is where it comes back to that idea of just being able to displace the Kindred. You can see they understood that needed to be the focus, but just doesn't have the answer in how to lock down the Kindred and get the kills. And because of how much they committed into that fight, you can see it was relatively easy now for the Panda Republic just to position around and just make plays through this Kindred. That's all you have to do now. Play through Kindred and you'll win the game.
Yeah. 6-1-9, 300 bounty, and a 20-minute Baron. That I don't think Mansfield are in any position to contest this one, honestly. A team fight composition is great, but unfortunately, a team fight composition that falls behind too far early is just, it's an irrecoverable situation because you can't, like, get a catch on your enemy, right? You can't, like, oh yeah, let's just see someone in the bush, because unless they are from the side of Kingsgrove just sort of face checking you for no good reason, that's just not the play, Captain. And unfortunately, in this sort of situation, well, Mansfield doesn't really have a lot of comeback mechanics, right? Their best way, the one identity as a composition is, hey, let's team fight.
I think it also comes down to, and don't hate on me, Kip Kangaroo, the choice of actual, way that you wanted to go through this. Yes, you're doing well. Yes, it made sense to go for ADs, as we talked about. But then it just hurts your team composition so much. You have a traditional comp put together. All you need to do is just build tank. If all you had to do, you can still build, relatively offensive. You go for the Frostfire Gauntlet, then look for your tank items directly afterwards. You still be able to do some pretty good work while at the same time stealing the stats from the set and then making your way into the team comp. That gives you a bold delivery system in closer, of course, like being able to throw it out onto the Trundle. It also allows you to get even stronger with the support of the Lulu as well. You have a way to actually break through all this power that has been inbuilt into the Panda team right now because they're so far ahead. Because of that choice of, I guess you could say, itemization here, you really don't have that specific tank that you need to allow them to break the formation. And as you can see here, this is what you get, the Panda Republic just closing out the game.
Yeah, Crescent Guard buying a lot of room there, but they just charge in from the set. They're destroying the enemy jungler, destroying the first Nexus turret. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but unfortunately, not so much. Shockwave lands the ball. This is going to be opening. Lancer's Bite comes down. This buys time, but do they have the damage output? The Jinx could hit them hard. Jinx has 2 items. This could be something, but never mind. The Kindred, the Kai'Sa. More than enough damage output there. The hidden Kai'Sa, forgetful that this champion does exist, will be it. As the first game in our best of 3 series is going to end Kingsgrove North with the hands of a terrifying jungler. We'll take the first game.
Yeah, when I'm looking at that there, what I really loved about that final play that came through is that traditional composition that didn't seem to hit the mark just showed us how fragile these more finesse plays or these finesse compositions that Panda Republic have been playing throughout this competition. One Shockwave almost completely flipped that team fight that has roughly a 10k gold lead completely on its head. All they needed to do was play through just a little bit carefully, sand off a little bit of the edges, not be so far behind, and we might have seen a completely different sort of game style being played out here for Mansfield. But of course, like it comes down to it, just so strong in the sense of this Kindred gameplay was huge, and that's honestly why Kindred is the MVP for this match. 6-1-13, very quickly was able to get, what was it, 8 stacks by 13 minutes?
8 stacks by 13 minutes.
Yeah, pretty damn impressive, and that really allowed the rest of the team to just completely thrive. And as you can see, they were able to close this game out in 22 minutes. That's the fastest game that we've had today.
Yeah, an insane opening here. Remember, though, guys, that this is a best of 3. There is plenty of time for adaptation and change. And I think the first change is, I'm going to go on a limb here, Mendrix, and say, ban the Kindred. Don't let that through for game number 2.
So then they just go Graves.
Then ban the Graves.
Okay, cool. And then what happens to get a Katarina that gets through?
Ban the Katarina.
They've only got 5 bans, and there has to be 3 picks directly after that.
Yes. Look, just ban everything. Get rid of absolutely everything.
Ban it all.
Of course, there is going to be a next game waiting, but before we do get into that, guys, there is 2 things I do need to mention to everybody, which is, of course, first, a thanks to our sponsors, Torrens University, Optus, and MSI. If you're into gaming and esports, which hopefully, considering you're watching an esports stream, you kind of have a vibe of what's going on. Make sure to learn more about their game design, game programming, 3D design, animation, graphics, and communication design courses, as well as sponsors for Billy Blue College of Design at Torrens University. Currently have a competition going on for a PAX VIP experience for 2 and an online session with a professional League of Legends player or streamer from the Legacy Esports team. There is hopefully a entry form being dropped down in the Twitch chat. So if you're interested, guys, take a look at that one there. So, Magix, looking at game number 2. Now, obviously, I think Kindred is relatively important to remove from the table because that was just gross.
Yeah.
What if you're from Mansfield? Let's ignore the pick. Let's ignore the banding side of things. Do you go for another team fight composition, or do you try and like change things up a little bit? Because clearly, the composition was it the composition's fault or was it the execution's fault?
Look, I think you should always look to fault the execution, not the composition. They had a pretty mean team put together, and definitely, some like meta champions in terms of what their capabilities can do and what is going to be the case there. So I would always say, hey, always fault the execution first, then start to look, afterwards when, hey, you know what, we might have failed now 3 to 4 times. Now we need to change it up a bit, and that's honestly the issue when it does come to these competitions is that you don't actually get a chance to have 3 or 4 times. That's why you need to be scrimming. That's why you need to be practicing. That's why you need to really, nut out what is actually going to be the issue with your team comp and what you've put together, or perhaps the execution, and then go from there. So, unfortunately, in this case, I feel we can't fault the team composition. I really would just be faulting the execution.
Hopefully, things can get tightened up for our second game here, Mendrix. As of course, it does look like the teams will be swapping sides, and instead of going for a break, I think like we're just going to be able to go right into it.
Just power through.
Yeah, exactly. Power right through it there. So we'll be diving headfirst into game number 2 of a best of series here. And I feel like, especially for a best of series, Mendrix, you cannot let the mistakes of that game linger. If you do that, you're basically starting a race with like one leg. Like, those ridiculous 3-person races where you tie your legs up with someone else that looks utterly ridiculous? You're basically running a 100-meter sprint against someone who isn't doing that while you're tied up. So hopefully, side of Mansfield do not let this loss play on their minds, as we will be diving headfirst into champion select of game number 2 between
Completely
Mansfield
agree
and
on that.
Kingsgrove.
And that's honestly what a lot of professional teams do. There's definitely a point in time where professional teams will play the first 15 minutes of a game. As soon as that 15 minutes up, they go, okay, sweet, stop, go next, stop, go next. And what that does is it actually stops that feeling of, okay, if this is a new game, we just start, we go fresh, because it's just so ingrained in their minds. So that's definitely something that, a great point that you put into account here. And right off the bat, we can see that it's going to be the Rengar ban once again. No bans on the Kindred, but still more to see. And as I say that, there we go. The Kindred taken him away because, of course, we saw what happened in the previous game.
Yeah, get that off the table there. And then you could even look to steal away like the Seraphine if you have someone on your team who is comfortable bringing that to the table here. A lot of different ways that you can sort of tackle this position here. I'm very interested to see which way it does end up getting taken.
Yep.
As a Fiddlesticks fan, Jack's fan, coming through here from Kingsgrove North. Not really surprising considering these are the exact bands we saw before. And I wouldn't have looked at anything in Manfield's composition and thought to myself, yes, that terrifies me. Just let it through.
Yeah, a lot of it does come down to the idea of, hey, our plan already works. We know what target bands we want to get rid of here. And what's really important of note here is that Mansfield has banned away all junglers. They've gotten rid of the Graves, they've gotten rid of the Kindred, they've gotten rid of the Rengar. They really are focusing here on what is the deep pull of the jungler. And we have seen that, relatively speaking, in all the matches the Panda Republic have played today, a lot of it has hinged on the performance of the jungler being up there. Consistency is key, and that does mean if they're able to finally knock that off, a little bit of that consistency, they might be able to find a little bit of a weakness in the armor they can explore.
Yeah, chink in the armor, but will it be enough here, Mendrix? That is the real question you have to ask, and that is the question that Kingsgrove will be asking themselves here as well. As Mansfield grabbing their first lock-in, and something we have not seen today so far, that will be the Nico slipping their way into first pick.
And so they are definitely going for the flex opportunity for the champion. Of course, Nico can be played a number of ways, where it's going to be AD, top, mid, support, has the ability to play in all of them. Typically, in terms of what's been really popular, I've been seeing more support Nicos really fly around here. So, with that being said, still not really giving too much away, but Panda Republic still going the same course. has picked up the Seraphine once again. And again, it's a fantastic flex opportunity. You don't give
Hmm.
away too much in terms of what your team composition is going to be. We know this could be played either in the AD, support, or mid role as well. So both these teams opted in for the same one. And it seems they are continuing to keep a little bit of priority onto the set as well. We do know that set was actually one of the bans from the first matches played today by the Panda Republic. So they're obviously putting some priority on that for their top laner.
Yeah, and I do quite like that, honestly. I think Set is ridiculously strong as a champion. And you already know if Kip Kangaroo wants to bring the Trundle in, you're relatively comfortable against that matchup there. Sure, it was a bit painful, but you kind of know it's coming. Now, with the Xayah locked in here, I personally think you should always have Xayah and Rakan together. Not just for aesthetic, but also Xayah. I've never been a fan of Xayah operating on her own. Unless it's for like a specific matchup, like when we saw Xayah and the Kai'Sa meta, which is always those two no matter what.
So one of the things that did come into this patch recently for 11.17, there was a Xayah buff to the ultimate.
Hmm.
So the big thing there is that strength that Xayah has in the ultimate was about roughly 80 damage just on the ultimate. That is a lot of damage, right? There's
Okay,
a lot of damage
that's a
that
lot of
it
damage.
comes through from the Xayah. I had to catch myself for a second. Now a bit of a change that we haven't seen.
Ooh.
Gwen. Now that should be interesting. I'm not too sure which member from the Panda Republic will be piloting that. Of course, can obviously be played is generally a top laner, which means we're probably going to expect to see the set either be moved to the support role or probably to the jungle role.
Yeah. You can, and I only say this because I have seen it quite a few times. You can put Gwen in jungle. I'm not saying it's good, but you definitely can put Gwen in that jungle role, and you can put Set in the jungle role as well there. So a lot of flexibility. Again, we can't look, and this is a bit weird to say. I don't know who is going where on this Kingsgrove composition because all three of these champions can play at least two roles, potentially three.
And at the same time, which panda is which? Let me put on moustache once again and just just gonna start slipping around. Do you know where they are? I don't think you do. This is gonna be the case along the board there. So a lot of interesting things there. I think right now Kingsgrove or the Panda Republic at this point are actually throwing out a few troll bans as well. They didn't ban for the fourth one and then decided to ban the Tryndamere. I don't think there's anyone particular on Mansfield that
Oh,
runs it from
then
time to time.
there is a fun bit of information here, Mendrix.
Oh
However,
yes.
Tryndamere is the counter to Gwen.
Ah.
So the Tryndamere ban makes a lot of sense in this situation. So while the lack of a ban is a little bit odd, I'm not going to disagree with that one. The Tryndamere ban is actually a very strategic ban because Gwen's greatest strength is, haha, if you're ranged, you can't touch me, and if you're melee, you're going to have to deal with my sustain. Tryndamere hits you harder, and Tryndamere sustains better than you. And then when you try and execute him, Tryndamere starts, well, I'd say laughing, but more just aggressively yelling in your face as
Just like
spins his ass.
inserting scissors into his chest, and he's just like, ha ha, just keep putting more into me if you can. And he's just like, I don't really care, and he just kills you.
Basically.
When his undying rage comes into it. What I think's
Hmm.
interesting here though is that because now we've got the Kayn and the Gwen, this set is most likely going to be played in support.
More than likely, yes.
That's what's really interesting about this, especially because we know, hey, they've banned a Tryndamere away, a counter. Tryndamere's ideally normally played in the top lane. We're expecting this to be played top. No, I haven't seen for a while in competitive play or in general. So he does like move in and out of the meta from time to time, but in
Oh, boy.
patches recently hasn't really been picked up here. And we get to see the Katarina once again. So this is a much interesting composition because we don't really see the same level of support being coming through to provide it. But of course, we do know that these guys can pilot all these champions to a pretty
Hmm.
high level.
Yeah. Like, this is a composition that, for both sides, I think, I actually quite like. Like, I like the Kingsgrove one. They know they're pretty comfortable in the Katarina. The Gwen is just a really strong solo laner. The set support can work. Kayn, especially in solo queue, the more popular variation of Kayn right now is Shadow Assassin, the blue Kayn.
Yep.
It's disgusting, but it does its job damn well. But on the other side, it looks a little bit ugly, right? It says Nico support, Silas mid, Hecarim in the jungle. But what I think is really, really, really interesting, at least to me, is the fact that they actually have an insanely good team fight composition. Like, it looks a little bit messy until you remember that Nara is great at team fighting. Xayah can look after herself and CC them. In fact, every single member of Mansfield State is bringing crowd control to the team fight, which not only is great for the team fights, but I was critical of if you can just team fight, then you haven't got a recovery mechanic. If all 5 of you are bringing crowd control, metrics, that means that you can start catching your opponent instead of just having to team fight them. And I think that is really critical in recovering a 4,000 gold deficit that they found themselves in early.
And another thing to take into account here is Zaya performs extremely well when the enemy is charging into you. You always want if you're going to play Zaya, you really want to be in those cases where the enemy typically will be forcing their way into your fight, into their battle. That's when you can really excel. Of course, you'll be able to put out the feathers, pull back, of course, for the stun directly afterwards, and it also gets you the best value out of your ultimate. When I look at most of the team members here, they're very much champions that are all in with that initial jump in. So that really plays into the favor of Zaya, where she doesn't have to worry too much about there being a more of a guerrilla warfare type champion. Maybe Seraphine can kind of fit that, but most of the time, Set, he's all in. Kane's typically all in. Katarina's definitely all in. He's also looking for resets. And Gwen as well is also a champion that likes to, in the middle of a team fight, doesn't really have the chance to kite back and do things about it. So this is looking pretty good for Blazing Spirit.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for them there. They should be able to keep themselves safe, but I say should because I'm seeing 2 assassins, technically 3 if you want to count Gwen in there, with the likes of the Kane and the Katarina. And if Blazing Spirit Zaya isn't safe, if Blazing Spirit Zaya isn't able to keep themselves away from the damage output, we both know that these champions have no issues tearing a Zaya apart. So it's going to be very much on Blazing Spirit, not only to position correctly, but keep the ultimate until they're being completely committed onto. Because if you can bait in a Katarina, a Kane, a Gwen into diving in on top of you, ult out, land, pull the feathers back in, that is ridiculous damage. And that is a solid 3 or 4 seconds that you have bought for the rest of your team to close in with the rest of the ambush there. So it should be very, very exciting to see how these teams go. But remember, guys, this is the second game of a best of 3 here. If Mansfield State are able to win, we go to game number 3 here over at the Championship Grand Finals. However, if they don't, Kingsgrove need only 1 win to claim that for themselves, guys. So do not go anywhere. Game number 2 here over the Meta HSE League of Legends Championships Grand Finals are about to kick off. And we are ready to dive into our second game here over at the Meta HSE Championship Rounds Grand Final between Mansfield State and Kingsgrove North. These 2 teams battling it out here. Remember, if Kingsgrove are able to win this one, then they are going to be taking that next step forwards. However, if Mansfield State is able to claim victory in the second game here, then we will go to a game number 3, Mendrix. And that, I think, is all on the line here for Mansfield State.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very exciting to see if they're able to pull this up. Now it is time to perform. I think you do have a little bit of comfort in the fact that, hey, if we don't actually manage to achieve this, we still will have the ability to play back through the losers finals to get ourselves back into a position to possibly win and get that, get a little bit back in that sense. When I look at this though, Pandas just seem so strong at the moment. I mean, as you can see, again, it's just going to be that standard line of scrimmage. You can tell most of the teams now don't want to try and look for any of that funny business. They want to make sure they get the correct information, make plays directly off that, or make decisions off that specifically, and just play intelligent.
Well, so far, the playing intelligent option is what we are seeing, as we see no early game aggression. That's kind of been the staple, right? We've seen one game, I think, today where there was some early shenanigans, and that was because there was a blitzcrank coming in there. Other than that, it's been very much just line of scrimmage, let the laning phase play itself out. And Kingsgrove North, I think they're more than okay with that because, yeah, it is, as we suspected, Mendrix. I'm seeing Dark Harvest on our Jungle Cane.
Yep, it's going to be the blue most likely, and perhaps maybe look for a little bit of extra tankiness support through that set. So that's when it comes through. I do like the Silas pick into this Katarina. Katarina typically likes, to go toe-to-toe, but Silas will win out there. And this is a really early start and a really effective way to get some chip damage onto this bottom lane here for the Pandas. I really like the decision that they made there, and off to a good start in this lane.
Yeah, and because we know what range versus melee looks like in the bottom lane, and give us a second. Level 2 hit by the Panda first. Ignite goes down. One more hit could do it. I think that's just dead. I think Closure just straight up dies to the Ignite.
I think he's got it.
No!
Oh!
Single digit. That was a 9 HP, Mendrix.
That was ridiculous there. You really see Closer even knew that he's like, hey, I don't think you've got me there. I think that's a bit of a misstep there as well from Panda. I honestly feel like Panda probably could have perhaps eked out an extra auto attack before Shimpanoing away. So unfortunately that for him in that scenario, it's going to play out that way. But all good in that sense. I think we should be good moving forward. So still, I mean, this is what I expected to have happen as well. Things be a little bit more even in that mid lane because especially of it being just explosive when these guys do decide to actually turn up that pepper, really get cooking as well.
You have no Ignite. That's just overconfidence there. And now Saint is going to get around. I didn't realize it's Saint in top lane with Gwen. That just took a while for me to notice there, as Hat's not able to get the tag, unfortunately. But Kip Kangaroo, one more auto attack, will be able to pick up that one, but not able to get actually turret diving right now as the camera is obsessed with bottom lane for some reason there. We are seeing Silo just getting nuked, Force of Flash, Blazing Spirit, taking it down low.
It's still going.
It's still going. Clue the Benny Hill music, I believe it's called there. But Saint gets out with a sliver of HP as Silo. Gets a nice damage down, but they will lose their life. And now pulling in Blazing Spirit does not have the damage output, and the arrival of Kane means that Blazing Spirit is not allowed to make any sort of aggressive play here on the bottom lane, or are they? Oh, that's unfortunate.
That was just a very nice, easy picked up there as well. That was literally just, I'm going to throw out that damage. You can see, being on a slither of HP, thought might be able to get in there and get the auto attack because Zaya does have deceptively long range, but in the end pays the iron price, and it will be going the way of the Panda Republic on that bot side of the map.
Yeah, and once again, we see Kingsgrove North doing well through the bottom lane, through these unconventional lanes. As seeing a skirmish in the middle lane, or more of an execution perhaps, as 3 members of Mansfield will be running down this Katarina here. I don't see a world where they get out alive.
I don't, but that is a lot of resources that you've actually put into this Katarina. Even if you do manage to get the kill, actually might get the execute. Oh, nah, okay, Closer gets it. That's not what you want to happen. Probably thought enough time had passed to actually get the execute, but unfortunately not going to be the case there. I think another thing that needs to come into account here as well is, and specifically in the sense of things that are being said, is they've bought a lot of time with the tempo around the map for the rest of the team. So they might be able to reposition and force an advantage elsewhere.
Yeah, because all that time that we did see Silo chasing down that kill is time that they're not in lane. Now, never mind, come to that in a second, as some CC might come through, and getting access there with the Kane. Wants to go getting those bullet orbs, but a flash and a TP though! This could actually be massive there, as the Kane is forced down low, forced to flee, but not able to get up part as Closer. hunts down his prey. There is no response from the Katarina here, so they will lose the support as well. Panda Republic, Kingsgrove North, looking far too human to their own liking.
Yeah, and this is really good play coming across here from Mansfield as well. And again, it goes back to the idea of them being able to reset, sit back and go, you know what, the previous game was just a minor setback. We're going to play this extremely well at the moment. As you can see, Seraphine also playing with a little bit of fire here, trying to eke out just a little bit of extra resources if possible, but it's not over just yet. When I look at it here, Panda Republic is still within 1k gold in that deficit. It's not really blown out in any particular way here. And Chip Kangaroo might be looking in trouble here, but Kane is back for the bot lane again.
Yeah, want to get those blue orbs, and this time it's going to go well. That is a 1-1 picked up for the jungler, and now never mind top lane. This is a dead Katarina, 0-3 in the early game. Saint is likely just going to join. Oh no, Saint turns it around, makes it at least a 1-for-2 trade.
Yeah, that's definitely a good pick up there as well. You still would have been able to get the kill, so unfortunately, Hat's just going that little bit too far. This is pretty good trades around the map, but when it was all said and done, it seems it is going to be towards the advantage of the Panda Republic. As you can see, they actually get a little bit of extra time on, of course, these plates in the bottom lane. They're going to be able to push things out of here, and it looks like there's a little bit of a return here once again by Kane, looking to actually pick them up if possible, but it seems their bot lane have got better plans and just want to back away.
Yeah, back away here. There's no need to overstay your welcome here.
Oh, yep, that's right.
As we say that, the Kane is pushing the limits of what is and is not allowed. But they backed away, and interestingly, and I think this is brilliant intelligence showing from Kingsgrove, look at what Seraphine has bought. Not going for the Moonstone, which they went last time. They were in the last time they ran this champion. Not just defaulting to, hey, this is the build. It's, hey, we haven't got the tanky composition for these long, drawn-out 20, 30-second fights. And so they're going to be likely going for a Leandri's Anguish instead of the Moonstone, which I must say, brilliant game sense coming in here from the Kingsgrove bot lane player.
Brilliant adaptation here, and that's really what the showcases what is going to be a good player versus a I guess you could say a lesser player in the sense of things. The ability to actually adapt on the fly, realize I'm going to have to make different choices here depending on this competition here as well. And Kip's trying to jump into Saint now.
Yeah, looking for something, but I'm not so sure this is the play for Kip here because, well, doesn't exactly have the ultimate available there, which obviously Saint did. Popped a lot of it there, did make a pretty little dress there, but oh no, pushes him into turret, and now might be able to get it there. Little Nah has the range. Saint needs to run for the hills there. The Ghost, though, gets them out in one piece, but all that happening, Mendrix, Hat has secured Dragon Uno.
Yeah, that's pretty good on that side of things. As you can see, Hat is actually a little bit ahead of the curve here in terms of jungle camps as well, but Panda's getting a gank.
Yeah, Small Kane has, Small Nah does no chance there. As Silo is just going to get cut down here. The charm does connect still, and now they've jumped on top of Panda here as Hats has arrived as well. They will lose the Seraphine, a nice shutdown being donated over, as now the other Panda tries to flee for the hills, but unfortunately the only thing he's going to get is a free trip back to base, courtesy of his opponents.
Yeah, that definitely was an overstep by the Panda Republic. They should have realized, hey, our jungler is in the top side of the map here, but Kip's getting a return kill onto Saint, if possible, but here comes Kane.
Yeah, here comes Kane once again. Their Saints is likely going to go down. They're not able to get any of the plants, and closer arriving from the mid lane means that they're going to have to run for the hills.
Yeah, as you can see there, very well played by Kip, understanding that I'm going to TP down, call up my mid lane as well, so even if there is support there coming across from the Kane, nothing's going to be fine as well. And Closer is absolutely just doing so much work in this mid lane as well. I feel like it's going to be a very different Katarina to what we saw in the previous match.
And that's partly just because the matchup is so much more favorable here for Closer. The Silas does so well into the likes of a Katarina, which last time we saw this, it was against an Orianna, which can do well, but it's not like I'm going to kill you in lane level champion, which Silas obviously, well, is. So far, so good for the likes of the Mansfield State mid laner. Now he just needs to keep that going, because obviously, as a Silas, if you sort of let the Katarina farm, it's a prop. Let me come back to what I'm saying in a second here. Look at Panda's goals. There is a certain item there that tells me Blade of the Rune King and Kraken Slayer are more than likely going to be picked up today.
probably going to be the case here. But another thing as well that I want to take into account here is with the Silas pick, Silas also has a smorgasbord of abilities to choose from as well when it comes into it. And here we go. We do have Silas Kane coming in again. Nice stop.
Beautiful CC there, and a lovely jump out there, as well as the turnaround could be pretty good there, catching out the set. Set will fall victim, and what a beautiful engagement. Oh, what a lovely dive forwards there. The onslaught of Shadow catches out the Kane, and now, while there is a Katarina arriving in the bot side, I think it's just far too little, far too late. There's no follow through.
He's still going for it.
Oh my lord, he wants this, but now there's a TP coming in there. A double TP on the back end of it. Closer, though, has access to the backline, has stolen the Seraphine ultimate there, and could easily use it to lock them down. They're grouped up, no! They've laid up in a line there. Closer has access to the backline there. Saints is being left alone. No one wants to fight the Gwen, which is a little bit of an oddity. As Saints will continue to hunt down his prey, but his prey will escape. No teeth in their neck means they're getting out alive.
Oh, there might be continuing that fight there, but we'll have to back off. Now, what I love about it, sets back into it. It still goes on.
New challenger approaches. In this case, set and a TP. This one coming in from the mid Panda will result in Kip Kangaroo getting a lot of gold and Silo dying. Never mind, Panda guessed wrong.
This is absolute insanity off the back here. So when it was all said and done, he's still going.
Oh my lord! And he's inside, so it means he can jump out and will be able to get away. Has Chilling Smite, has Flash, has Life.
Finally, he does manage to make it work. He's going back in again.
Oh my god! He has a set on him right there. Again, you can't fight the Kane. Has the Flash, had the Chilling Smite, I should say. There should get him out. This Kip Kangaroo slamming Saint into the wall here. Saint's in a bit of a rough situation. Not so sure they have the life steal to get this one. Conqueror is procced, as is their death.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a misstep from Saint. Saint should have realized, hey, this tower is going to go down, and then I'm literally going to be mincemeat for the Snar. Decided to hang around, paid the ultimate price in the process of that. And it really is one of those things where it's like, hey, you've blown your TP to get down the bot lane. This is allowed Nar to actually rip into this turret and get it down as well. Also gets the first turret gold as well. So you can see that this gold lead now is starting to get to an unmanageable point. Currently 4.2 or 4.1k ahead in the lead here for Mansfield. And this has literally just been off solid, intelligent play across the board. They've just been playing solidly. Every single reaction they've had up against the Panda Republic has been basically met well. And you can see, perhaps being finesse isn't really the best scenario here, because now that you've fallen behind, it's really hard for you to find a way to get back into it.
Yeah, and part of that is, Blazing takes a bit of damage, and part of that is your Katarina is in a really rough situation where, well, Panda needs a bit more signs of life, but I'm just not so sure where this Katarina is going to find that sign of life here. It might be at this next fight, but this fight is going to be a dangerous one if Kingsgrove commit to it, because, well, simply put, they don't have the firepower to contest this objective, and I think they damn well know it.
Yeah, you can see they're just sitting on the outskirts to see if they could perhaps get a steal, maybe pick up a champion off the back of it, but the ultimate goal of them hanging around the edges here of the the Dragon Pit is specifically to look for a possible catch they can go for, and this is what they wanted.
Yeah, finding access there. Silo is taking down low, jumping inside, says thank you very much, what damage can you do, but gets CC'd up, gets healed up, and now Hats is coming in for the back end of there as well. The same plays that we were rewarding Kingsgrove for are now brutally punishing them in game number 2 of this series.
Yeah, exactly what they wanted, but that turns out that's not what they wanted at all. Saint now caught on the wrong side of the tower.
Yeah, he's just going to get run down here, unfortunately. Does jump over the wall there, but Kip Kangaroo has flash. Saint has some nice healing, but unfortunately, yeah, just not going to be enough in this situation right now. And Kingsgrove is making a few too many mistakes. I'm getting really, really worried, Mendrix, that at a 4,000 gold difference at 14 minutes, it's starting to look really bad for them.
It's definitely looking bad at this point. It's still not losable just yet. I mean, they can, take this towards late and go from there. But of course, now it gets really hard. They obviously can't give up the next dragon. That is the key point here that we take into account. Another thing as well, they really do need to start making some moves around to get some of this standing gold. We can see Kip's trying to jump here.
Not so sure that's the play there, but Closer's arrival does force a disengage. And I think this is just posturing for Herald, so yeah, what a shocker there is. Oh, that's some nice damage output there. Panda is forced to flash safety there, and his backup does clear the minion wave, but still, there's another thing not going in the favor of Kingsgrove.
You can see it was just doing a little bit of a dance pro just to catch him out, see if maybe he would actually land that Q. Unfortunately, not going to be the case there. So it doesn't mean that, of course, he is going to have to use his flash as a punishment for missing out on that. That's the big thing there as well. It's really frustrating where if you make a mistake, turns out you just don't have the ability to get out safely. You have to use a key summoner. So this is the point of the game that we're in now as well. But we do have the Kane here. Perhaps they might overstand and they get something back.
Yeah, Kane needs to get access to the back line. They caught out Silo there, stopped, and the Pop Blossom. No, they didn't! The Pop Blossom still went off, and that's something to remember. But a beautiful catch on to Blazing, but he still pulls his favors in because Kip Kangaroo TP'd into the back line there. And with the assistance of his mid laner closer, should be able to do work. Never mind! That is the assassin. Kane picking up one, and now two assassins against a bruiser. Will it work out? Picks up one, but not able to pick up a second. But biggest disaster, 800 gold goes to the Katarina.
You can see they really wanted to try and get something back for that reaction play, punish them, or punish the Panda Republic once again for having the audacity to try and make something happen when they're behind. And in return, they actually give up so much more. That gold lead that was sitting at 4k just disappears to 3 because that's some big gold injections by getting those bounties cut down. And this could not be, this is essentially the best case scenario really at this point in time for the Panda Republic to try and get something back. Not only that, some of it went on to the Katarina, which is looking pretty strong in that sense because we know Katarina, once those items get rolling, can start to do some work as well.
Yeah, it's a really good start for Kingsgrove to make, this is the foundation of a recovery. This is the foundation of, hey, we can actually fight this game. We can actually win this game and end it in a 2-0. We're not going to 3 games, but it's not a great position. Mansfield State is sitting on 2 dragons, obviously the third spawning in just over a minute's time here, and I'm not so sure. Okay, I should be careful how I word this because Kingsgrove has surprised me in the past.
Yep.
Kingsgrove has options to come back into it, but they need to not get caught out, which is what's happening exactly right now. Their Dies inside there will be forced to flee in over the wall, but now the reinforcements of Has coming through, getting both of them there with the onslaught of Shadow. TV coming in the backside of the fight, though. This could be good, but Saints is going to lose their life there. Meganar is available for Kip Kangaroo as the Katarina is not exactly in the greatest position, courtesy of backup from Panda on the Seraphine, though, will be getting out in one piece. Or will they, actually? As Pop Blossom comes out, locks down 2, Hats and Closer, and even Blazin comes in to tear apart the Kingsgrove mid laner here. What a play coming through from Mansfield State as they keep the pressure on. 4k gold, 3k gold to a 5k gold lead.
And this is where what I don't like from the Panda Republic. They've been making a lot of plays towards the bot lane. That's actually been netting them something back in return. But they decide to push it to the top side. They've got no tower in support if they need to retreat. They don't have enough ward coverage over there to actually make that work on the top side. As you can see, plenty of wards here now available for the Mansfield in this scenario. All of it seems to be really the place that you don't want to go. Basically, just let Saint chill, relax, absorb as much gold as possible, and then bring it towards the team fight later. So you can see now they're trying to get this dragon, but I think it's a bit too late now.
Yeah, it's too late. They're maybe forced to wait here. They're not allowed to fight this objective unless they go for a mad steal, which is possible, but they're going to lose their bot laner. They're going to lose their jungler for this ambition. Oh, yeah, nah. That's, that went about the way we would expect it to, Mendrix, honestly.
Yeah, at this point now, you can really see that the cracks are starting to open up, and what makes it so much easier now for Mansfield to really jump in and get this is because of the fact that they've been able to clear out all of the towers as well. As you can see, Kip's doing a good job here, like,
he's cutting him out, but he's
gonna have his ulti, maybe.
No way.
Yeah, I think
he gets out. He's got flash.
No, wait, he's slow.
Oh, no, he almost has the blow. Oh, I didn't know it in time, unfortunately, there. But, well, all that was happening, by the way, Mendrix, Mansfield dropped Herald bot side and got a tier 2 turret.
Yep, just continue to push through as well. That turret, there's going to be another charge gained from that as well. And again, I just want to go back to the reason why now it just seems like it's just blowing wide open for Mansfield. It's because finally the towers start to fall down on the other sides of the map. That allows them to have more maneuverability through the enemy jungle. And now that you can see this beginning to get kills left, right, and center, and you need to exacerbate the lead further. Now that they've got the 3 dragons, now that they've got that AK in their pocket, you can see them beginning to push through, get those wards down to get more of an idea of where their opponent is and where it's going to be the next place to move to. And it seems that they're aiming for what might be this Baron. So still an opportunity for the Panda Republic to come back purely in this Baron play. But if, Kane gets caught here, then I don't think they have any real chance to actually continue this.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful when you play around the Baron, because the Baron dance, Mendrix, as we both know, has several intricate steps that must be obeyed, or, well, have you ever seen... Oh, never mind. Oh my god, no! We're talking about the Baron dance's importance, and the Baron says he doesn't give a damn! As he almost gets caught out there. The Seraphim Wheel catches him! That is massive! The turnaround from the Seraphim Wheel to catch the streak, but it just doesn't matter! The jungler is dead, Mendrix, and that could be the opening, as Saints is getting caught out here. Man, this is a scrappy fight from Kingsgrove. They don't know if they're going in or not. What is going on? Panda gets access to the tackle, and Blazing doesn't even die from this, though. And Kingsgrove march their way into their own execution.
Yeah, I'm not too convinced on what will happen there. You can see that Kane probably had an idea, thought he could just continue to bruise up. I think the big idea was to basically bruise up the members, get them weak enough, and then when you've got Katarina to come in, because all the cooldowns have been used, they don't have a way to CC the Katarina, you can then clean up with resets directly afterwards. Unfortunately, wasn't enough damage done. The Katarina is still too far behind the 8 ball to begin doing the damage that she needs to do, and that means, of course, that nothing goes in their favor, and this lead just goes further and further in the favor of Mansfield.
Yeah, continuing to build up their advantages right now. It's looking pretty good for Mansfield. I think it's fair to say in this situation here, building up a 10,000 gold lead at this point, Mendrix. And Kingsgrove...
Your math's a bit off there, that's 8,000.
8,000? Oh, this is why I avoid maths on stream, man. Maths on stream is the most terrifying thing any caster can do. So, 8,000 gold.
Yep.
Coming through here, Matt. Thank you for the correction. As
okay.
The same aggression that we are praising Kingsgrove for in game number 1 is the very thing that seems to be hanging them in game number 2 here, as forcibly in over the wall. They will get out in one piece, but their chances of contesting the Baron are dwindling the longer that this continues.
We can see here they're actually beginning to force the fight. Here we go.
Yeah, diving into that one there. They've caught the Seraphine out there. The Kane trying to do what they can, but the Katarina not feeling too confident here as the rest of them come through. The Death Blossom comes out and immediately is cut short. And while all this has happened, Saint has said, see you, team. I'm on the bottom half of the map here. Panda trying to fight this one off, but I'm just not sure it's going to matter. But wait, why are you chasing? Go for the Baron. You don't need to chase this hard. Yes, it's the Kane. Yes, it's the jungler, but you need to do your objectives.
I mean, while this has been done, it does manage to catch it at the same time. All right, it is a clear win here now for the Mansfield to actually obviously get that kill directly afterwards, or basically clear out the turret, get a number of kills off the back pocket here, and then it follows through the Baron afterwards. Completely agree with that. They did waste a bit too much time chasing that Kane. I would have much preferred them just grabbing that Baron, immediately backing and possibly saving the bot lane turret, because the entire time Saint was just on a split pushing spree. Manages to get at least 2 towers, which is a decent trade off the back of it. When it is all said and done, though, but you can see it's still a clear advantage out of it for Mansfield, and they just continue to push those nails in a little bit deeper, just continue lowering that coffin into that dirt just a bit more. And of course, looking like they want to bring this to a game 3.
Yeah, 9,500 gold now in their favor is looking phenomenal. 3 items on the ready carry, 3 items onto their mid laner. Hell, almost 3 items on the rest of their team composition. Where we're looking at Kingsgrove, 2 items at best for most of them, which is a problem with the Infernal Soul being secured by Mansfield. If there was a hope, if there was a dream from Kingsgrove, I'd start praying.
It really needs to be one of those scenarios where for some reason they go for an all-out win right here, right now under tower and can just completely whiff the execution. That would be the only real way there'd be something back for it now. And speaking of which, you have a re-engage once again.
And it goes something, a nice ultimate for the Seraphine though. This could be an opening. They've caught out the support there. They've caught out, oh my god, this is it, Matrix. This is the opening that they were looking for here. They've lost 3 members. Hell, they're about to lose 4 members as Hats and Panda are duking out at the Assassin. Not really looking for the extended trade though. Forced to run as Saints will clean that up. And you talked about the one opening that Kingsgrove had the one chance they had to recover this situation. They lose 4, they might lose 5, but Kip Kangaroo escapes with his life.
That was such an amazing engage here. We've been saying this entire time they've been too aggressive, too much coming off the back of it, but they choose to pull the trigger by realizing there's still a 4v5, by getting in there, by singling out the damage threats immediately from the side of Mansfield. And with that, this actually gives a real big respite. They've managed to get rid of the majority of the Barons. Now it's only going to be on Kip Kangaroo. And on the flip side of it as well, it's put the fear of God back into Mansfield. Now they're not going to be just so happy to just jump into those turrets as well. This might buy some needed time to stay alive.
You say that, we're then immediately seeing a fight between the Kane, who doesn't realize wants nothing to do with that fight there and has to back away. Because yes, you recovered a bad situation. You're still down quite a chunk, more than a spare.
It was 10k before, it's 5,000 now.
Yeah, it's good recovery, don't get me wrong. But you're going to have to do that execution again, and again, and probably a third time.
Okay, this is what's like key about this, right? The jungler on the side of Panda is performing well. They've just bought themselves so much time by being able to win out in that initial scenario there and cut basically this Baron in half. That buys them enough time to make it to at least the Elder Drake, as long as they don't lose any more key infrastructure and they're able to take a convincing fight in Zelda. If they can steal Elder, they can still win this.
There is still signs of life here for Kingsgrove, and that's mandatory. But it's not looking brilliant for them. It's looking like a bit of an uphill battle here. I'm very interested to see, can they perform it again? Because again, if you look at history, they're going to be able to recover these game states, but it's not going to be an easy task for them to do so. But
especially when Mansfield are doing their due diligence. You can see what they're doing at the moment. They're clearing out from that side of the jungle. Of course, very well played there by Panda Republic to immediately reward up as well. But they understand that they need to be ahead of the curve here from the entire time. This is a dragon that's 3 minutes away, and they're already beginning to prep, trying to clear out that vision, trying to put some wards down, trying to get something in place there, so that when they do look to make this play on the dragon, it's that much easier. Because really, this is the one way for Panda Republic to get back. If they can steal the Elder Drake, they can definitely beat out the damage that is going to be this Infernal Storm.
Exactly, and that's sort of the opening that Kingsgrove are probably looking at now, saying they have Infernal Dragon, we can win the fights, it is absolutely doable, but you have to be so careful when you play these fights out itself. So we'll see if that is possible here. The game slowed down a little bit, Mendrix. And I think that is just both teams being aware. Kingsgrove saying, okay, we need to limit the aggression that we're doing. And Mansfield State being in a position where, okay, push the waves, back up. Both teams are more than aware that the Elder Dragon in 2 minutes is critical for both of these teams. But it's not the only objective spawning in the recent times. Mendrix says, Baron is a minute away.
Yep, Baron is also available onto the map as well. As you can see, they're beginning to set up for that as well. I'm beginning to move that vision across. We do have a TP. They might have caught Saint.
Yeah, it looks good there, but they're diving on top. They need to lock them down. So far, so good. They have caught Saint. Saint is going to die no matter what in this situation through. But do they get any more than that? Just one is a nice catch, but I don't think that one pick is enough for you to feel like, yes, we can just start up Baron. I think you need to keep baiting.
Ooh, some good damage there. Whoa!
Whoa! That was disgusting.
That was filthy.
That's Kane.
Shiloh had no chance. All right,
no.
Panda though.
Yeah, getting caught out there, but the turning lands on multiple moves and they're diving into the backline. This could be the opening as Blazing Spirit's died again! Blazing Spirit is gone before the fight is really allowed to kick off here. And once again, they've done it, Mendrix. They're doing it time after time after time. I do not know how. I do not know why. All I know is Kingsgrove are dragging victory from the claws of defeat. This is amazing.
Their execution in this later stage of the game has been on point. The fact that they were able to just stop Shiloh from being in that team fight really allowed them to push into control. And it's been allowing Panda, the Katarina specifically, get into that backline and once again continue to put out that damage. All of it also comes down to the fact of how well their set is replaying into this. He's walking in, absorbing that initial first hit, following through directly afterwards, getting that shield, putting out the damage, and then the rest of the team just have so much follow-up afterwards that they're able to get this. They've managed to shore up this gold lead. They're now only, like, it's not even 2k ahead now. They've managed to get the Baron, but here's the next test. Can they keep this execution going and actually grab themselves the Elder Drake?
It's very possible because you and I both know the mental tax that losing 2 fights in a row can have on players.
They're trying to rush it.
Well, they got to rush it. They're going to commit this. But Panda, the 1 member late on this Katarina, will have TP. Saints is buying time to be annoying there. Look for that Seraphine ultimate. It's been critical every time. Where is the Xayah? Xayah's pretty damn low, but she's staying alive. This is actually looking pretty better for the side of Mansfield. The Katarina isn't really able to do much just yet. Not able to find the damn tap, but Blazing Spirit hasn't died. This Xayah survives. Finally picked up a triple kill. Every fight so far, the Xayah has died instantaneously. And this time, staying alive, burns the flash, burns the heal, and ends the fight with a quadra kill.
That was so impressive off the back of it. We've got some pretty big death timers here. Of course, it's going to be 20 seconds. No Baron on the map for them to pick up here, but at least maybe they can get some of the inhibitors off the back of this play. What's so good about that and why it worked out was because they were relying on Panda Katarina to come in a little bit later with that TP and to perform, but they just weren't in the best position there. That allowed them to get a little bit of extra damage off, and that meant that by the time that Katarina was able to enter the fight, it was pretty much an uphill battle for them to bring that back. It was still looking okay, but at the end of it, they finally do manage to get a win back into this, and with that Elder Drake, things are looking a bit more dire now once again for the Panda Republic.
Yeah, because Panda Republic, they're not allowed to fight, basically. Fighting against an Elder Dragon is just basically saying, look, we want to die. So they've got to be so careful because it is Blazing Spirit that is sitting on that Elder Dragon buff. It is also, if I can find the right person, yeah, it's also Kip Kangaroo. So 2 members with the Elder Dragon buff, but it's arguably the most important member, the Xayah. This Xayah has sort of been lurking away here, doing tons of work in the fight. But again, the last 2 fights, I want to reiterate, Blazing Spirit gets caught by the Seraphine ultimate and dies instantly. No turning the fight around, no nothing from the Xayah here. So if Kingsgrove can do that once again, I think they've got a chance. But Mansfield, I think, especially with the Guardian Angel, they're more than aware of the dangers that Seraphine has lurking in the wings.
Yeah, they really do need to force something here while this Elder Dragon buff is available. Otherwise, they might fall victim to the execution of the Panda Republic once again. You can see Shiloh's trying to get into the middle of the mix there, see if they can force a little bit of a buckle there with the clone, but nothing's going to pop out of it here. And now it's really a matter of time of them just beginning to wear away at this HP of the tower, see if they can finally get in there again. They do have some decent siege here from the Xayah, and of course Shiloh as well, but still, it's not going to be enough for them to directly get in there. So it's really going to be, once again, on them just beginning to hold back and just find their right moment. Because unfortunately, the siege isn't that good.
Yeah, I feel like the siege could, though, break, as Meganar is almost available. And that's how I'd break the siege if I was on the side of Mansfield right now. And they're definitely looking for it. Multiple members look over. This could be an opening, but no Seraphine ultimate coming out just yet. As the set dives into the backline by a lot of room, but Blazing Spirit is left unharmed, and this isn't looking too good as the Xayah is finally joining in for the rest of the fight here. Kip Kangaroo was able to grab something, but they're not dead just yet. The Seraphine, the Gwen, and the Katarina. These pandas are still up and mobile. The inhibitor is likely to fall, but the Elder Dragon's worn out. I think Kingsgrove has survived.
Yeah, they've actually managed to get through. This is probably the best case scenario for the Panda Republic, but this is exactly what was needed here as well. They're continuing to force the fight here as well. See if they can actually catch some backs, but wisely they've managed to just not, just back in front of them and continue to just push a little bit further away. This was exactly what was needed by Mansfield. They needed to at least get an inhibitor, because if they didn't get that down, I would be so concerned for the rest of the map going forward. You're at the point now where the gold lead does not matter, and we have seen that they were able to bring this back from a gold deficit. So now that they're basically on even footing, regardless of the fact that you've also got the Infernal Drake underneath your pocket, you can see they've got the composition and the ability to actually execute on it as well. So now we're at that point now where it's purely a chess game. There isn't that idea of I've got more resources than you. You can still lose out if one team is better for it. Saint might be caught out here as well, but
if Saint gets caught, his Saint dies, and if Saint dies, that's a disaster. Mega Knight is available. Will be enough to slam him into the wall there. Saint's getting down low. Saint's is taken down. That's a disaster. They've lost their top laner a minute before the Baron spawns up. Now, the ejected timer is 52 seconds. But now, Kingsgrove, they're not allowed to go get any vision.
Yeah, that was a real bad play there from Saint as well. You can see he was just trying to get some vision in off the side of it, and really Mansfield just snuck on the trap immediately. They said, sweet, you're out of position. I'm going to jump onto it. We're going to get the kill. The thing is, of course, is that he's 35 seconds. They might have an opportunity to still compete against this, but I really like this decision. I'm going to keep on the pressure on both sides of the map, see if perhaps we can get some more infrastructure. If not, we can just back away to an easy Baron off the back of it. It looks like the Panda Republic want to start again.
Yeah, Panda Republic looking like they're going to survive this because Mansfield Siege, it's just not there. Like, I don't really see what they're meant to do here. The Seraphine has good wave clear. The Kane has pretty decent wave clear and some nice damage on the back end of that. That definitely forces the disengage and actually puts Mansfield in a really awkward spot because now 2 of your members have to recall, then mine Zaya has healing. Zaya just has...
Yep. Oh, wait.
This could be something.
Oh!
Nice, he can mix with this one there. Backing away, the Seraphim ultimate does not land on more members than that because it didn't hit Closer because Closer was in stasis. Baron spawning in 10 seconds, but I think absolutely critically, without that Seraphine ultimate, Kingsgrove, I don't think, can fight.
Oh, wait.
No.
They're still stopping backs. This is important.
Yeah,
obviously,
they keep playing time.
And we're going to TP. There's a TP coming in.
Yeah, TP comes through on this one. This could be a fight. Could be to start the Baron, take it yourself, and run for the hill. There 5 members now. With the TP burn, no one is catching the bottom wave. So Kingsgrove need to get something out of this one. But they're backing away. They're backing away. Elder spawns in less than a minute, Mendrix. This is insanity.
Part of it's because they could see the TP came immediately out of Closer as well. They didn't want to get caught in from behind. This is crazy. Do they have a TP on them? So Saint can back here, clear out that wave and TP in for the fight, but you really don't want that to be the case. But it's looking at what they're going to do, and they've started the Baron.
Yeah, they started the Baron up here. And Panda, I think you're going to have to look for a steal here, buddy, because I'm not really sure the team fight is in your favor with Mega now coming through there, dives into the back line there. Looks like the Kane is in there for the pit. Will he be able to get the steal? No, not able to, even if the smite doesn't connect. And now Closer got access to the back line here. Kingsgrove are getting torn apart. Their top laner was not able to join the fight. It was over before the Gwen was able to burn that TP. Now with only 2 members left, Mansfield are looking for the throat. They are looking to end this game right here, right now.
They've got the manpower, they've got the Baron buff, they've got the ability to make it work, and it all came down to the fact that they had managed to crack the base beforehand, forcing Saint back, which means they couldn't have an even fight, and here we go.
Yeah, diving in there, they've got to be so careful there. One turret goes down as the Katarina does pop up, but the Katarina goes down. Now, is it just up to Saint to try and hold the line? Will they be able to? They're cutting members down, but not gonna be enough here. Mansfield, after a few too many errors, does recover the situation. They're coming out on top of the game, and we will go to a game 3, Mendrix.
Oh, that was absolute insanity from both of those teams there. The fact that the Panda Republic were able to bring that back really shows so much that come into it. Like, I mean, that is the crazy part of it. I thought they were done. And then to get 2 winning team fights back to back really shows that this team has the ability to play from behind and seems to be from an impossible point. So that was definitely something special. But to go back for Mansfield, definitely worth the win. They were the ones that were winning this game from start to finish pretty much the entire way through. And to also take into account, they weathered the storm. They were able to overcome those losses each time. So really well played in that sense.
Yeah, really, really impressive work there. And we will take a look at the MVP of this match. And it is going to go to Blazing Spirit on that Zaya. 18, 5, and 13. Scoreline was impressive. But if you want to look at how much impact did this Zaya have, how important was Blazing Spirit to the team? Remember those 2 team fights where Kingsgrove won?
Yeah.
There were team fights where Blazing Spirit got CC'd up by the Seraphine and died and didn't do anything. And they were the 2 team fights that gave Mansfield State a chance to get back in. The moment Blazing Spirit doesn't die at the start of a team fight, picks up a quadra kill, picks up the Elder Dragon, which scales into the end of the game. Like, that's how critical this Zaya was for the team's success.
I could not put it any better myself. Again, you're looking at that scoreline, 18-5-13, damn impressive. And again, like you said, it was the key factor for them to actually win the team fights and bring it towards an end. Otherwise, without Blazing Spirit, they might have been in trouble. They might have actually been able to be brought out right now and we'd be saying, hey, goodbye, down to the losers bracket you go. Panda Republic, we know where you are, but now we have a series.
We definitely do, Mendrix. Game number 3 here over the championship finals will be kicking off in only a matter of minutes, guys. So do not go anywhere, because when we get back, Meta HSE's grand final here over at the championship bracket will be kicking off. welcome back, everybody, to the Meta HSE League of Legends Championship rounds, where we have our third game of our winners final here. Of course, game number 1 and 2 have been played, and that leaves everything on the line here between Kingsgrove North and Mansfield State, where it's been a pretty exciting day, honestly, Mendrix. And these last 2 games, as you can probably tell by my voice, have been pretty damn exciting.
They've been explosive. The way that these games have played out is something that I was blown away by. Specifically, the way that the Pandora Republic were able to get themselves back into a game when they had a 10k deficit down. That is near impossible. So that is really valiant effort. Although at the end of the day, when you've got the endurance and you've got the level and the ability to play through like Mansfield does, it's still too hard to get through. So the thing is that both these teams have very clear advantages they bring into it. One's got a little bit more of, I guess you could say, a bit of finesse flair. The other one is that tried, tested, true, and traditional way of doing things. Each have their strengths, each have their weaknesses, and I can't wait to see which one comes out on top.
Yeah, it'll be very fun to see. I think this game is going to be very dependent on not only the draft itself, which I'm very excited to get into, but also aggression, right? We've seen time and time and time again from Kingsgrove, from the Pandas, that they love to play aggressive. They love to look for fights, for skirmishes, and sometimes they work great. Other times, when their opponents are ready for them, I think the word backfires is a very apt term for what we saw, especially in that last game there, where time and time again it was, oh, let's go for a skirmish. Oh, we can do something here. Hey, look, there's someone. We're going to try and kill them. And then suddenly, crap, they're TPing behind us. Crap, their jungler's here. Crap, we're outnumbered. Crap, we're dead. And it all escalates from there, unfortunately.
Exactly, and I think that's something that's going to be really on the minds now of Mansfield, realizing, hey, these are guys that we can't count out, even when we are this far ahead. We need to make sure that we do our due diligence, do our homework when it comes to running around the map, getting ward control, understanding where it is, because every time they got a clear advantage, we're able to, and especially what allowed them to close out the game, was off the back of forced error, or not forced, unforced errors coming through from the Pandas. They were able to catch out a member, they were able to draw an advantage of that, and then from there, any other time there was a team fight, they were out of position, and they were able to win out effectively, especially when they can keep their damage dealers looking at Blazing Spirit alive.
Yeah, and we'll see. I'm very interested to see, do you look at Zaya, or are we going to get the same bans that we did see in the previous game? So the last ban here, I believe, was the Jarvan, if memory serves.
It should be the J4.
But I wonder if you ban the Silas here, because you want yourself to pick the Katarina, and Silas is brilliant into the Katarina, as we witnessed. So now, Mansfield had to say, okay, do we go for the Graves? Because we know that Katarina is more than likely the go-to mid lane option.
Yeah, we can see here, it looks like their choice is still going to be the Graves. They want to be able to shut down this jungle. That seems to be the name of the game. They want to basically keep the jungle on the side of the Pandora Republic down and unable to operate. As we can see here, the tried, tested, and true Seraphine is going to be the pick once again for the Pandora Republic. And we've seen this flex a number of ways, where it's going to be that ADC, that mid role, perhaps can even be played support as well. Typically, with the Pandora Republic, it has been mid and ADC most of the time. So expecting that to be the case, but we do get to see a return of that bot lane, the Nico and the Zaya once again. So pretty excited to see how that one also plays out.
Yeah, and I love the fact that that is the Seraphine being locked in first, right? Again, the flexibility that Kingsgrove have shown with this champion is unparalleled. Right? The only thing I think they haven't done with it is put it in the top lane at that point. Don't even dare think about that stuff. So I love that as the first lock in here. I wonder if they're going to try an early road. Oh yes. Okay, you know my rants about Olaf. You have heard them numerous times. It has a Seraphine, so I'm not as hating of it. But what you've got to remember, especially when there's a Lulu, but what you've now got to remember is that Kingsgrove have said, we have a jungler until 25 minutes. And then we have a weird-looking minion with a large axe in the jungle position that has a smite. So Kingsgrove are putting themselves on a timer, but with double enchanters, I actually don't hate the Olaf as much as I traditionally do, because Olaf is good with enchanters, with shielders who provide speed ups to him. Lulu is perfect in this position, and we know that Saint plays a damn good Lulu paired up with a Seraphine.
Another thing to also take into account here as well is the fact that Olaf will be able to shut down what seems to be the problem on the side of Mansfield for
Mm.
Pandas, which is obviously going to be that Zaya. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter how much CC that you have, even though this is a weird looking minion towards the late game, that's a weird looking minion that ignores CC. That will
Yeah.
walk right through it and still has the capability to shut down that member. So this is something that's going to become a bit of a problem later for Blazing Spirit, because even if this Olaf is going to get a bit weaker and does tend to fall off, we'll still have kill capacity on him.
Yeah. So we'll see how that works out again. I will want to judge the Olaf based on how well it does in those first 10 minutes. Does it secure a lot of objectives? Does it get the early dragon started? Does it get that first Rift Herald, drop it and get a ton of gold, you know? That's where I'm going to set my assessment of the Olaf as a champion. Coming through as the Rise locked in here now. The Rise is interesting because, of course, the Katarina has been caught by the ban list. So I'm really interested. What is the answer now? Do you flex the Seraphine to the mid lane and lock in a traditional AD carry in the bottom lane, maybe? There's a lot of interesting things that can come through here. Obviously, you give yourself a little bit of time to think. The Malphite will come through for so far. And again, looking like the mid lane again, they've got to assess their options. What do they really feel like grabbing in here? I want to take a wild prediction and say a Zed, but I know that's going to be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case here as well. I mean, Orianna. Okay, this is a mean comp. This is a really mean comp. Oh, they've got a ball delivery system in the Malphite. You now have an extra shield and speed up for Olaf. Of course, all of these particular champions synergize with each other, looking at the Seraphine, the Lulu, and the Orianna. And the fact of the matter is, Malphite's going to be a big tanky boy. It doesn't matter what you come into it. This is a really mean back-to-front team composition that has been put together. The only thing is really lacking would be a bit of an AD threat, but Olaf still brings that as well. So I feel like things probably are looking pretty good here on the side of the Panda Republic, looking what they put together. We know their execution's on point. On the flip side of things, when I look at what's been put together here by Mansfield, they've got the set, they've got the Hecker, and we've seen them perform pretty damn well with those champions in the past. Rise is definitely going to do a decent job against Orianna. I feel like that's a bit of a swap. They really do need to use the Rise ultimate effectively in that mid side of the game, so that way they're able to nudge in some extra advantages, which they should allow them to win in the later stages. But what's interesting about this all being said and done is I feel like the team compositions, the play styles of the champions picked have now swapped sides.
Yeah, it's a bit odd to see Kingsgrove on the team fight, Orianna wombo combo composition, because typically that's what they've been dealing with throughout the course of the day. And I mean, they've dealt with it rather effectively. So I'm very interested to see what their take on it is, right? Because obviously the Malphite Orianna combination is something that everybody should know.
Yes, yeah.
And then what the difference is, and this is what worries me a little bit here, is last time we saw the Seraphine Lulu, it was done with a Graves. Now, Graves, tanky, high damage, ranged. Well, ranged, I put in quotation marks the same way like I put Yasuo around the quotation mark of the word skilled, right? So what I'm interested in,
You're all right.
I saw an opening to take a shot. I had to take it.
Okay.
But what really interests me is the fact that with this Olaf, instead of the Graves in this current position, will the Olaf be able to do the same job? Right? Because while Olaf has the damage output, especially in those long skirmishes, Olaf probably going to pick up an early Visage, has a ton of healing, has a ton of damage, which isn't the concern. The concern for me in Olaf in these really, really long 30, 40-second fights is the mana, ironically, because Olaf can't chase you down without throwing 100 axes. 5 axes and he's out of mana. And Lulu Seraphine, will that be enough to keep him sped up? Will that be enough to get him onto the Zaya, onto the Rise, where they can't look after themselves? I'm really worried because in my history of seeing Olaf paired up with enchanters, it's been a coin flip, I think it's fair to say, in these situations, Mendrix. And in the final game, in a best of series, you don't really want to leave it to a coin flip.
Look, I honestly think, though, I understand what you're saying, because sometimes it can be a coin flip with Olaf, but when you've got 3 enchanters to buff, kind of really takes out that 50-50 marker. Also, when you also look on the flip side of things, when you're trying to get away from the Olaf, you push that little bit further ahead, you open yourself up to being altered by the Malphite as well. It's not just the Olaf we have to worry about here being the main source of engage here. The Malphite's, sorry, the Olaf being the main source of engage. It's the Malphite. The Malphite is the one that sort of shores up the rest of the team for it. They're not going to be too concerned about the Olaf, and I think that's what's going to end up being the issue for it, because they're going to be so concerned about the Malphite, the Olaf will be able to get into the mix of things and find that damage and find the members that they want to. It really does come down to, again, Zaya and Nico looking at Blazing Spirit and Shiloh to really keep themselves under control, make sure they're not being picked up by little things on the side here as well, and just remaining relatively safe. Ryze also needs to have pretty good positioning, but we know Ryze can be a little bit of a tank later on in the game, so can sit there, can bridge the gap as a bit of a front line, and basically trying to keep the rest of the Blazing Spirit or Shiloh safe.
Yeah, because we've seen Risers go for like the Ezreal build, where you build a Iceborne Gauntlet, sorry, a Frozen Heart, and just sort of reduce the damage you take. So it'll be fun to see if Closer does go for that build, or if he goes for a more traditional AP focused machine gun mage style of Rise. But I suppose, Mendrix, there is only time to tell, and that will be because we are getting into our third and final game of the night. So guys, do not go anywhere. League of Legends Meta HSE's championship rounds will be kicking off. This game has it all on the line. So don't go anywhere. And we're about to kick off our third and final match here over at Meta HSE for the finals. Again, this is the winners brackets finals, which is going to put you in a better position, when you do get to make your way through to the grand final here over at Meta HSE for League of Legends. Our two teams, Kingsgrove North and Mansfield State, are about to fight it out for the final match of the day, Mendrix. And the compositions are giving me excitement of how explosive this game will hopefully be.
Yeah, it really is feeling it's going to be around those team fights, getting towards that 20-minute mark of the game when we get to see it. A bit like a turkey roasting, right? You can smell when things are starting to get cooked up, when things are starting to get really good. So that's what I'm really expecting this game to get interesting. When I look at it on the other side of it, hey, what's going to happen in that laning phase? Who's going to have the skirmishing advantage? I am going to be throwing it the way of Mansfield. When I look at what they've put together, the fact that they've got a Ryze who can zip around the map with the ultimate, the Hecarim is a faster clearer, is able to get around the map a bit better, and also the fact that when I look at this bottom lane, they will perform just a little bit better when it comes to moving around and making things happen. I'm definitely looking at this going the way of Mansfield in the early stages. So if I see that there's a bit of an advantage coming to that 20-minute mark for Panda Republic, I feel like the game should be going their way.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes again. I think, and I like to think I was pretty vocal about that when we came into Champions League, that I feel like the first 20 minutes and the Olaf is everything that I'm going to be staring at. Because if the Olaf does well, in these first 20 minutes, it's going to be brilliant for the team. But if they struggle, well, we both know that Olaf doesn't have the greatest scaling. Hell, there was that time where Redemption First was the Olaf build. If that doesn't sum up how that champion scaling goes, I couldn't tell you any better. So we'll find it out as the game does kick off. Nothing too odd, no early game shenanigans, no early invades. Instead, we're just going to let the game start with a bunch of farming, and hopefully the chaos consumes us in a little bit.
What's a little bit interesting here is, of course, the choice of pathing gear for Hats. Hats typically does choose to, or typically for Hecarim's, they normally start on the top side of the map. As you can see, they've actually got the Raptors watered up there, so they will know that it was a blue side start, which means they're probably looking to follow up with a gank onto this Malphite. Really, I guess, you abuse the fact that Malphite doesn't have the best wave. As you can see, though, Kip is beginning to push into it, so probably not going to be at too much of a bigger threat here. So that does mean that things are going to be a little bit off here in terms of what's going to be the engage. On the flip side, normally the Olaf does start along that blue side. Typically will not look towards that, but with the axe throwing, if he knows how to position, which I believe this Panda does know how to do, should be able to clear out relatively well. As you can see, isn't skipping those Raptors, isn't making a move directly towards them, and will follow up after this. So perhaps we'll look to maybe hit this bot lane, but as we can see, with there being a bit of pushback going forward, it really is going to rely on who has the edge in that bot lane, whether or not he can make a gank happen.
Yeah. And I really think that, especially because you've got both enchanters on that bottom, never mind closer, low on mana, but wailing away into Panda in the mid lane. But what I was going to say is, because you've got double enchanters in the bottom half of the map there, I think you could absolutely just look for an early game. Like, you've got the speed up for the Lulu, you've got a lockdown from the Seraphine, you should have enough resources to be able to lock them down and make that sort of play, because no, why wouldn't you? Again, I want to see good, aggressive plays out of the Olaf in the early game, and I think that is the perfect step one, but I'm not sure if it's going to work out, because look what Closer is doing, Mendrix. He's actually roaming down to make sure that they have an idea of making sure, hey, Panda is definitely on the bottom half of the map there, securing the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, you can see that he's really using that to his advantage as well. As you can see, he was very quickly able to make it happen. I was looking for the gank here. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, see how it plays out. The axe goes in the wrong direction there, but Closer is low on mana, which does put them in a bit of trouble there. He's going to get dived on there. Hats does buy a lot of time, though, on this Hecarim, but just getting torn apart. And first blood coming in for Panda on the Olaf. This is exactly what you need.
Yeah, and that was just no respect given to the Olaf. The Olaf does have the edge against this Hecarim when it comes to the one-on-one dueling. Hecarim has the ability to really out-duel in sense of, out position, out-jungle, look for the out-ganks there. But really, when it comes to that one-on-one team fight, you will lose. That was well played by Kip, manages to get the kill onto Panda.
That was beautifully done there. A well-done execution, used an advantage, and the double layered CC on a Saint there. Saint's going to go down, no escaping there, as Blazing Spirit picks up their first kill of the game. And, well, things aren't looking exactly ideal for Kingsgrove North here. The Panda Republic, there are some clearer cracks in the wall.
Yeah, you can see they are finding ways to get some advantages here. And this isn't even the jungler advantage here. This is purely through the lanes. I mean, we have seen what has been happening here from Mansfield as they've been focusing on the jungler in terms of, limiting that jungle pool, stopping it from getting away. And now their laners are completely outmatching them across the board here. I feel like maybe the focus wasn't, was actually that appropriate in this scenario here. They realized, hey, we just need to limit the jungler here. Our laners should be capable of being able to match against the Pandas one-on-one. And that's exactly what's been happening here. Now you can see now they're beginning to edge ahead. Again, not that much of a crazy gold lead, because as you can see, it's only 2k for the time being. But if this continues to be the scenario and they manage to get another 2 solo kills across the board, things can very quickly snowball out of the favor of the Pandas and can allow Mansfield to to really put themselves back in the position they were in the last game, maintaining control of the game, basically putting a vice grip onto the gameplay and limiting the options of the Pandas.
And I think that as a solution to dealing with the aggressive Olaf is perfect, right? Olaf needs his laners to be in a position where he can gank for them to be relevant. And if he's not, then yeah, sure, you can grab some dragons, you can grab, yourself a couple pieces of the Summoner's Rift, but if it's nothing more than that, then I'm not exactly feeling confident. But we might see the first play here. Panda is lurking there, has
Wow.
found Silo, and Silo does not deceive them there with level 6 as well. Silo has to run for it. Flash TV coming from the back end of it, but it's not gonna matter as the kill is simply picked up. The disengage coming through there, but Kip is not happy about what just happened, and Relmore coming in from the flank means that the Olaf is gonna go down. The TP's coming through from the back end of things could look decent. Let's see what works out. Shockwave lands on 3 members. This could be the opening there, but there's no follow-up. The Lulu and the Seraphine does not have the follow-through damage. They are so low, but no one is going down just yet. Kip Kangaroo holding the front line there. Closer dropping the Realm prison down onto the Seraphine. Does take them down, and they were so low, Mendrix, but they didn't go down.
They say League of Legends is a game of inches, but Kip Kangaroo is still going.
Oh my lord, he's hungry for something. Gets polymorphed, and I'm not so sure.
Oh no, this is not good.
As he continues to overchase here on the Olaf Axe connects, and that is unfortunate there. Blazing Spirit, though, will be able to... No! He got caught with the axe! Blazing Spirit's going to go down here. One more axe, even with the flash, is not going to matter there. You have the auto attacks. You have a free trip back to base is what you've got.
They had everything. They just needed to back away, but they got greedy and they bring themselves back into the game. I think that is just so crazy to think that they had every advantage they wanted to. All they had to do was solidify this further, but once again, they do manage to just go that little bit too further, trying to push themselves closer towards the sun, and they get burnt.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate in that situation. What could have been a massive lead here. Well, Mansfield is a bit of a small gold lead.
It's a deficit now.
Yeah, it's a deficit. It's now a small gold lead for Kingsgrove. Yes, 600 gold isn't a lot, but it's better than nothing, and it's better than being,
considering
behind.
What the other option would be. Literally, it's horrible. This is the worst. Like, it's horrible. All right, so Pandas, okay, they've been caught out here as well. They're looking to make something happen to this dragon. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah,
oh my god, this Olaf's just so strong.
Yeah, Olaf early game, baby. That's what we want to see from this champion, because he doesn't become a champion after a certain period of time there. But with the ultimate down and an early smite coming out, this is a very disjointed fight. But the Seraphine damage output, as Hats is likely going to go down here. One more auto attack from there will even deny the devastating charge, as Seraphine is lost without a prayer. Put him Tish.
Okay, but the thing is that we still have, like, they've come back in.
Wait, what? They're not dead out
here.
They're like, what? And Panda's going to die on the top side of the map here. Oh, Nick did a 1-for-1 trade as somehow the Seraphine escapes. I would love to know how that happened. I'm going to assume just blue suede shoes.
Just walked around. The thing was able to meet up with the friends and was all good in the end, as they do typically in, like, a Scooby-Doo novel, I guess you could say. Okay, I'm okay with the trade out for Kip Kangaroo and Malphite on the top side, purely because, of course, the wave was pushing into him. That means he should come back to a wave with a bit of advantage. So you're okay with actually getting the trade 1-for-1 there. And of course, then you're going to come out with a bit of a CS advantage with a bit of extra gold and of course a little bit of extra experience, which you just continue to build up on. I think the big problem here, though, of course, is the fact that Malphite, regardless of how hard you dumpster on him, is still going to be relevant in the later stages of the game. So Kip Kangaroo performing is not the biggest thing here. It's not the biggest, scenario. There's some crazy action happening in the bot side of the map there, and it's really useful that there was a miss there by Olaf with the axe, because what Hats did was really impressive. He made it look as if he was going to path towards the upside towards blue. That forced a axe to fly out in that direction, and then he shifted trajectory and moved towards the bottom side, actually moving towards the river, and we're going up there. That stopped Panda from having an axe. It went up to cooldown. He wasn't able to re-pick it up and go in there from time to time, and that means that team fight turned out a little bit different because the strongest member didn't have access to their best CC.
Yeah, but unfortunately it was not enough to fully recover the situation. As take a look down the items, Mendrix, this is exactly what we've been saying time and time again that we want to see. The first mythic of the game was secured by the Olaf, followed up immediately by Blazing Spear, who MVP of our previous match. Shouldn't be a surprise on this Comfort Xayah. Did brilliantly in the last game. And honestly, I would expect similar results out of the Xayah here. I feel like if you don't get a massive lead, Mansfield's AD carry is just going to get online, and you struggle to deal with Xayah in the last match. Now, in this game, do you have better tools to get access to the Xayah? I would argue no. And the reason why I'd argue that, Mendrix, instead of saying, oh, but you got Malphite Orianna, what do you mean you can't get on top of it? Xayah has Flash. Xayah has a Nico to stop everyone other than Olaf getting on top of her, and when Olaf does get on top of her, Xayah has this really pesky thing called Featherstorm, which is the ultimate ability, which is basically, haha, you can't touch me.
We said
So-
this before. Xayah excels in scenarios when she's up against teams that want to walk into her. And that's exactly what the Malphite wants to do. That's exactly what the Olaf wants to do.
Oh,
Like, got a
God.
fight bot.
Yeah, Xayah pressed R, and Xayah got out courtesy of the Gale Force. TP now coming in for the back end here. Hats wants to try and disrupt there as the Olaf is in
Oh my
rage
God.
state, but Olaf doesn't give a damn! This is a mad berserker! As Panda gets a knock up onto the support there. That is 2 kills. That's probably looking like 3. That's looking like 4 kills for the Olaf, baby! Never mind, as it's stolen away by the top laner. But, angry Viking noises are pretty apt to describe what has been happening for the past 11 minutes here in favor of Kingsgrove North.
Yeah, that was a crazy team fight, and definitely one of the ones that is definitely a game-ending one. As you can see here, the gold lead isn't too crazy just yet, but as soon as this tower goes down, and it will go down, that is going to be roughly, what, 4 plates worth of gold as well. First brick on the same fighters as well. Actually, it might not go down. Okay, it won't, you know what? They don't exactly, you know what? I forgot. They don't have an ADC. Okay? They don't have the ability to pull through. Regardless of the fact, it's still going to be, seems to be roughly a 2k gold lead. Now it's a meaningful gold lead, and you can see the effect of it now. Look at what he's doing. He's like, what? You want your Raptors? No, 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 no. My Raptors. That's exactly what's happening here now. And you can really see that he knows he's ahead. 7, 2, and 1. And he's making sure he's getting the objectives. He's also beginning to be a menace in the enemy jungler's map. There's no way this horse can ever handle this Viking. Because this Viking right now is thinking, you know what? I wouldn't mind being able to have a horse that I can ride into battle. And he's just going to be mounting Hats over and over again.
Yeah, and Hats is going to have to run for it, right? There's nothing that they're allowed to do in this situation. Again, it is the power of using an aggressive early game champion like an Olaf and doing exactly what you need to do. This is perfect Olaf play because, well, if you don't snowball an Olaf, unfortunately, well, you're not playing the champion right. You're not utilizing the champion's greatest strength to your team's advantage. So this aggression is beautiful to witness. Even an early Rift Herald drop just to slam in and get some turret platings. I want to see if this does secure. Yeah, it gets the turret platings as well. For context, the gold difference is 1,000 or 2,000. You know, 1,000. Oh, never mind. Saint. Taking low. Okay.
He's got an ulti. He's all right.
The gold difference is in between these two teams about 2,000, give take. If you press X on your keyboard, Mendrix, you can see what I'm about to say,
I already laughed.
which is there is a 3,000 gold difference between our two junglers. 3,000.
Oh, it's a feels bad moment when you're the jungler here as well.
Thank God Riot made it a way that if you're not like falling behind, that smites are now scaling with the general level of the minions at the time. Like it's the same as everyone else's. Because this is when you used to fall behind this badly in the jungle. That's when it really felt bad trying to get objectives. Like there was no chance to steal. You were just too far behind the A4 to actually land the smites directly afterwards. Unless you were like an Elise or Elise in with some execution damage you've built, you had no real chance of being able to get the dragon or get a steal. Now at least you've got some way to be competitive.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the only saving grace that Hats is feeling right now because not in a great mood there. Olaf has his second item pre-15 minutes. So that timer that I talked about here, that 15 or 20 minute, 25 minute timer is now extended to about 30 minutes. And that's the point of this Olaf. You need to keep extending that timer where you are relevant by just putting the enemy team down as much as humanly possible here, which is, oh, it ain't broke. It's working. As so far we're seeing top lane Panda just hold. You know that image of a cat?
He's just stopping him to get the cat out.
He's trying to do it, but he's not. You know that image of a cat that's grabbing onto its scratching pole? That is Panda right now. Unfortunately, he doesn't have 9 lives, and he's going to go down in a solo kill by Kip Kangaroo.
Yeah, at that point, he should have just backed away and said, you know what, just take the tower, that's fine with it, you can have it here in the end here. Because now Kip Kangaroo's got the ability to actually teleport and be uncontested in this fight. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be a 4v5 best. Actually, a 3v something right now. As the Orianna isn't even present, they will lose their support. They will lose everything in this situation. Forced to run for the hill. Blazing Spirit has been dived on top of, but I'm not sure it matters. 2-man Shockwave. Will it be enough to turn the fight around there? The Olaf is angry, but I don't know if the Olaf is angry enough. He has 3. He could have a Penta, but he just doesn't have the health, just doesn't have the cooldowns. And despite all the advantages, Kingsgrove did not bring everything to the fight, Kingsgrove will lose the fight.
And it goes back again to the fact that Malphite in the top lane just didn't give up the tower. All he had to do was back away and then maintain Kip Kangaroo in that presence. If he was able to do that, there's no way in hell that Kip Kangaroo could have been down there. He would have been too worried about being Malphite altered to stop the ultimate. Happy for the Malphite to sacrifice himself for the rest of the team to get ahead. And now that gold lead, it's gone. And it's definitely going to be in the hands of Mansfield.
Yeah. That's a really rough situation. Now, Kingsgrove had a great position, and just as I was saying, Mendrix, that there was a timer in favor of Kingsgrove, extending that timer, extending their lead, that timer has shortened from the 25 to 30 minutes I was giving them, back down to 25. They have 10 minutes from Kingsgrove's side to basically take control of the game, or if things go really, really badly for them. And I'm getting a little worried that it's just, well, what do you take? Dragon spawns in 4 minutes, Rich Herald spawns in 2, but you're not getting any standing gold. You're not getting any of, as you like to call it, the infrastructure that's just hanging out on Summoner's Rift.
And that's a really key moment here as well. As you can see, when you look at this map, the fact that they haven't managed to take down the turrets is really beginning to hurt them. This is the reason why they're such a big gold lead, or not a gold lead. The reason why they're even beginning to match them in gold is because they've managed to take down the towers in the bottom side and of course the top side, and that's beginning to feed the rest of the team and keep them relevant throughout the game. It also now opens them up to begin to get their own objectives in the back of this. They can move towards the dragon, they can move towards Shelly as well. Of course, the key one, which is the bot lane, is still holding strong at the moment for Panda Republic. But I think at the moment in time, now that they're relatively that little bit ahead, they can definitely just bring a team, bring a Rift Herald just to slow it down. They really do need to just open this part up, because that's definitely going to be a big key to beating the Panda Republic, because they still have options to find team fights and skirmishes, especially with how strong Olaf is at the moment.
Yeah, speaking of the Olaf, look at him in this mid lane just lurking, waiting for an opening. All it takes is one bit of CC, one overstep, and that's the Seraphine ultimate. If you get caught by that, you're dead. There's unfortunately no two ways about that one, but the longer that Mansfield plays safe, the longer that this happens, they're in a good position. They can keep this going, man. This is... I'm getting more and more concerned by Kingsgrove.
Just chill
Panda's
out.
been sitting here for 3 minion waves.
We just chill the game until 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and we win.
Honestly, yes.
Look, again, look, they can chill for that. Of course, there's still some important objectives they need to be concerned about, which is looking at the Baron in particular. They might need to come to the party for that one to make sure that doesn't come down. But I think at the end of the day, yeah, they're pretty happy to chill out, take this towards the late game, because they do have a fantastic team to ride this out. Mind you, on the same side, I really do like the composition that's been put together here as well for Panda Republic to actually take this to the late game as well. But Kip's jumping in now.
Yeah, looking for something there. Kip Kangaroo pushing the issue, but they do have access to the backline there. Panda on this Olaf, though, gets chunked out, but a beautiful Sarah ultimate and a shockwave! Goodbye, Mansfield! You are done! You are dusted! That's a wrap! Say goodnight! You may have gotten 2 kills in the back of that one, but that was a public execution of your entire team and extended family.
And the setup for that wasn't just them saying, hey, let's go in to make this work, let's go for a fight there. They actually were setting up beforehand about 2 minutes prior. Remember how long Olaf was sitting in the bush there? He then made a move up, got some wards in as well, understood all the possible directions they can go for it, and that's why they were able to walk into that fight. They had 100% of the information. It was so easy for them to land their abilities afterwards because they knew when they were coming and how they were coming. That's why the ultimate from Seraphine landed, that's why the shockwave landed, and that's why Panda Olaf was able to actually find a way to get in from behind as well and also deal with some of those problem members. And now that they managed to get the Shelly, they've managed to pull away also with a gold lead. And look at this tempo. They're wasting no time pushing their waves up, getting control. This should at least push towards them getting this next dragon. If they don't, I'll be disappointed.
I think Dragon is absolutely the next thing that gets looked at here by Kingsgrove North, and they're in a better position again. That timer is extended once again. I'm gonna be doing this time for the whole day, Mendrix. That's what
so
this
what's
game
the timer
is.
out now?
So
you know what? Is this your clock of midnight?
this is God no.
Yes. How good is that?
You bring me nothing but pain and
how many minutes to midnight? Midnight.
I don't want to answer that. As
it's a great pun.
It is, but I hate you for it. As the
You're
teams
the one
are
with
setting.
the name midnight. What do you want me to do? asked for it.
So, oh, this could be pretty good, actually. If Closer can pick off Panda, this will be great. But no! The Shockwave, beautiful stopwatch, though. And now Panda disengages. But speaking of disengaging on the bottom side there, need to be careful. Flashes forwards, flashes away. The minion wave is doing its job. But neither of these mid lanes will be able to join. And this is fine because of no rise. The only real damage output is going to be the Xayah. And Xayah's been titled. Xayah is dead before the fight even begins again. Getting caught by Panda's Seraphine ultimate is critical in these fights because now Mansfield, run for it. You can run, you can flee, but much like Thanos in this situation, the Pandas always arrive, or do they? As under the turret is a little bit risky there, one, as they will pick up yet another one, but they're making a 1-for-1 trade because you're diving under a turret instead of doing the dragon.
Oh man, everything there was really good for Panda Republic, but then Kib Kangaroo with a fantastic haymaker on that shot there was able to just shoot on the through. That was fantastic.
Oh,
that blew away Panda and Saint, looking at Seraphine and Lulu, and allowed them to even out this battle there. Yeah, Hats. Hey, you got
like,
no.
Wait, Panda has no health. The Orianna. By the way, Panda Orianna beat Closer on the side lane in the 1v1, and then TP's at like a 3rd HP.
What I like about there is Hat's like, maybe I can get in here, maybe. But I'm just sitting and just going, I just, no, Hats, you've got no chance. Get away from the currently 14-3 Olaf before he murders you, okay? Yeah. Like, seriously, the TP wasn't even necessary there from Orianna. They didn't even need to come down. They could have saved the TP.
Mendrix, you know, maybe about 5-10 minutes ago, I asked you to take a look. I asked you to press the X button on your client and look at the gold gap between our two junglers.
Yeah.
And the gold was what, about 3,000 gold in favor of the Olaf? Yeah, it's now 5. It's the problem has only exacerbated itself in this situation. It's exactly what you'd expect and hope for the Olaf, but like, it's gotten worse, Mendrix. It's gotten worse.
To be honest, that's what you want to have happen as well when you are the Olaf. You want to just keep pushing this lead as possible. And speaking of pushing the leads, they're looking at this Baron. It's known that it's going to be the case as well. Hats is waiting in the wings. This is where having that smite is going to be big as well. I hope we do have Olaf use the ulti. Here we go.
Yeah, diving into this one there. Will they be able to get the smite there? Yes, they will. And now the back line is Blazing Spirit is into the back line. This actually looks pretty good for the side of Mansfield as they are diving through. The Olaf still isn't dead. The Olaf is still up. Again, eyes on the Olaf as Blazing Spirit is still up though. Will they be able to turn the one around? Yes, they will. Quadra kill for last game's MVP. Blazing Spirit is finally able to put down the Viking.
Yeah, I thought maybe Hats went in just a little bit too early to make it happen, that he was going to just be focused down and died. That's exactly what happened, but that buyed the positioning for the rest of his team to come in directly afterwards, and Hats actually didn't even die there in the end. You could tell the focus was still going to be on the Baron in that scenario, and because everyone else was able to come in directly afterwards, they were able to take away that convincingly, and that gold lead that was in the favor of Panda Republic has dissipated. It's now neck to neck. Yes, they've got the Dragon advantage, but when I look at the team composition available for Mansfield, I'm feeling a little bit more confident about their chances now.
Yeah, it's looking far better for them as it's going on right now, man. And Mansfield, again, this is having flashbacks to last game, where Mansfield were able to get a couple good fights, and then Kingsgrove caught them out. And I think, you know, the one consistent thing between them has been if Blazing Spirit on the Xayah gets caught by the Seraphine ultimate. If they do, things go very badly for Mansfield. If the Seraphine doesn't catch out the Xayah for whatever reason, then Kingsgrove seems to lose the fight 9 times out of 10. Look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm definitely seeing the writing on the wall.
This is not a conspiracy theory. This is just trends, mate. You don't need to worry about that there. Conspiracy theory would be like, hey, you know, what do you reckon? Teamo with Tiamat? Should I give it a shot? That's a conspiracy theory.
You're disgusting, is what you are.
Hey, I'm just giving an example. I would no way in hell endorse Tiamat on Teamo, okay?
Understandable. I'm looking at your op.gg later tonight.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm clean, son. I got no dirty laundry here in my history, my match history. Thank you very much.
I'm sure I could find something, but now is neither time nor the place to go dirt hunting. As let's take a look down the items here, Mendrix, and there are some really exciting things here. While there are 4 fully completed items on our Jungle Olaf, which is, yeah, about what you'd expect when you're 5,000 gold ahead of your matchup here, what I do also want to draw our attention to is the Zaya on Blazing Spirit's command here. 3 fully completed items, and I think more importantly than that, the execution is calling. Olaf, for all of the tank stats he has, relies on his healing to stay alive in these fights. And yeah, Blazing Spirit saying no.
Look, that's part of the reason. You definitely do need to take that into account, especially when you've also got 2 supports as well. That also do have some healing capabilities inbuilt into them. It makes sense to just really have that healing cut as an availability. At the same time, though, of course, Seraphine and Saint really do have a lot of shielding capability as well. So even though, yes, you sort of like sapping away at this Olaf strength, at the same time, I don't think it's going to be that much of a big deal. Again, it all comes down to what you're talking about, that idea of, hey, is Blazing Spirit going to be alive? Will it land the ultimate? And to be honest, that question is going to be answered very soon because we have a dragon fight.
Yeah, and my eyes are actually going to be on the Malphite here. If Malphite can catch Blazing Spirit in the knockup, then the chances of them dodging are very, very low. But they need to get a priority, members. As the fight does kick off, it does have accident land, but a beautiful ultimate. And the Seraphine does not catch Blazing Spirit. It caught everyone else but the Zaya, and that is a disaster because now the bird will just tear the members of Kingsgrove apart here. Blazing Spirit with a quadra kill. Blazing Spirit, the MVP of last match, the MVP of this match at this point. No, get shut down, never mind.
Talk about caster curse right there, mate. All of it being said and done. All of it being said and done. Forget about the damage that Orianna brings to it. This Orianna's trying to stay alive. Can still possibly get kills here. This should be interesting to see how this one plays out.
I don't think that they're going to be getting out.
Oh, he's out. No, he's out. Panda's
No,
out.
they're out. Yeah, TP. Never mind, you're clear.
Okay, so let's just look at what you want to know the key factor there. It wasn't just the fact that Blazing Spirit was able to dodge the Malphite ultimate. Blazing Spirit also dodged the Orianna ult. Because the Orianna pulled the trigger on the Ori ult a little bit too soon. Pulled it while the Zaya was still in the ultimate, means that was missed as well. Things could have been gone a little bit differently if they layered their CC, layered their catch in a few different ways. Of course, obviously, everything taking into account, if as well as the Seraphine's ultimate managed to land, then we might have had a different story come into it as well. So there's a number of things there that can still go the way of the Panda Republic. It's still not out yet. Still relatively even in gold. Still relatively even in dragons. Things still happen to be the way. You can see both the maps now have been opened up here. It really is going to come down to, once again, I think this has been the name of the game, execution by these teams. They need to make sure they maintain this ward control. That's a big advantage, the big key advantage that Mansfield has right now on the Panda Republic, is they've got that ward control. So it now needs to be an overextension here, or perhaps, a little bit of a risk being taken by the Panda Republic to get back in and clear this out, because we've got a Baron in the next 15 seconds, and boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, it is time for a Baron dance.
Yeah, and this Baron dance, I'd argue, is the most important because look at the clock. 30 minutes. This is where the Olaf is starting to really become irrelevant. But you can't afford to have that happen for Kingsgrove, because while your Orianna is strong, Olaf is still about a solid 40% of your damage output, with the other 40% being in the Orianna's hands, and the last 10% being, Seraphine, Lulu, and Malphite.
This is the thing as well. I mean, sometimes champions are literally just bridges for the rest of your team, right? Orianna needs roughly about 3 to 4 items to really have that kick that we know the Orianna can have, right? And it takes a while to get there. Roughly 30 minutes. If your Olaf is able to put your team on your back and bridge that gap, and basically bring it to a point where it becomes relevant, and you're looking good. But this is where it also becomes more of an issue, right? All your AD damage is literally the Olaf. You've now hit yourself into an item trap. Now, when I look at Mansfield, what they can do is go, you know what? Let's stop building as much armor. Let's start to get those magic resist items into play here, because a lot of it is inbuilt into A, the Malphite, B, the Orianna, C, the Seraphine. They're your 3 major sources of damage, so that means magical resistance becomes so much more valuable. Magical resistance and health, because you should already have enough armor to deal with the Olaf, and extra HP will of course deal with his true damage.
So, no, hopefully optimization comes through. Of course, it looks like everyone's building Thorn Mails to make sure that the Olaf is not relevant in these fights. I do quite like that idea, honestly. Because, yeah, you need healing reduction. You need to stop that as, oh, one of my favorite things has just happened. Look what Closer has bought himself when he knows the next fight is going to be critical. He's bought an early elixir.
Yeah, so basically what he's doing is looking for that power now, and what's also good is he hasn't just used it, he's holding on to it. He's waiting for when it's going to be the case and he needs to pop it. And here it seems to be the case.
Yeah, look for that Seraphine ultimate. That needs to be critical as the Hecarim dives into the backline, but it's isolated by the rest of the team there. As the rest of the team is piling through, Malphite has found the Xayah, forces that ultimate out now as the rest of the team is piling through. But the backline is left untouched by Kingsgrove here. Kip Kangaroo tries to get through, but is just not going to get it. And this is a disaster with no front line. Arise and Xayah, they can't contest his objective.
Yeah,
They've lost their front line.
They have to let it go. I like how strong Blazing Spirit is, but she needs someone in front of her. Has also used the ultimate, only has the heal available as well. There's no real chance for them to get in here. This should be a Baron going the way of the Panda Republic. But this is a good idea, right? Let's go straight towards the mid lane, push that through, trade something out in return. We do have an early back from Orianna to perhaps stop that, at least inhibitor from going down. I think they can get the turret and get out safely.
The irony that basically everyone gets back in time before the Orianna, but they did get a bit of a push down in the middle lane, but more than anything, it gives them a priority over the next dragon. Now, this is only dragon number 3, but we are always going to see a fight here, Mendrix. And right now, Kingsgrove, they're actually putting themselves in a really, really good position here. Olaf is at full build. Everyone else is sitting on 3 items apiece here. And if Blazing Spirit can't kill the enemies before his front line crumbles again, I'm getting a little worried because, well, there's 2 ways to lose these fights now, which have become very clear for Mansfield, and they know how this can go, so they've got to be careful. They can't overdive, but they can't underdive. They need to be so careful. The only thing going for them is there is no Seraphine ultimate, but then again, there's no Xayah ultimate either. So you've got to be so careful. But a beautiful engagement, Cielo. Will that give them the opening there as Blazing Spirit gets caught out? Blazing Spirit is losing half of himself there, forced back away from the rest of the team. But the Xayah's gone! The Xayah is gone and Closer is taken down. And now Panda is on the back line there. Closer running for the hills there, but it does not matter. This angry Viking is going to run him down. Triple kill for the Viking. A quadra kill is likely going to go in the Vikings' hand. Kip Kangaroo can't even get the damn support on the back end of that one there. And that is going to be dragon number 3. Given to Kingsgrove, and there is not a damn thing that Mansfield State High School can do about it.
And this time around, we do get a layering of the CC. We get the abilities being used one after another, even though, as you mentioned before, the ultimate still wasn't available for Blazing Spirit yet. They managed to line them up from time to time again to maximize the amount of time they do lock down opponents from being able to use their abilities. Looking at the map with the ultimate, also looking at the shockwave coming through, all of those things landed on at least 3 members plus, and you can see the result of it after the battle. The fact that they were able to get another win directly afterwards, beginning to slingshot that lead that little bit further. Plus now they're also getting closer to getting that Ocean Soul as well. So now, even though, yes, this may be an Olaf that might not be as relevant, if they manage to get an Ocean Soul underneath their belt, I feel that relevance has just come back.
Especially because of the amount of regeneration that'll provide to the team that has a ton of healing. And even through, but you could argue, but Midnight, they've got, Thorn Mail, Bramble Vest, literally, ton of healing reduction from, well, actually,
you know
never
what's
mind.
Balanced around, though? You know what's kind of balanced around? It's balanced around the fact that they've only got 1 healing source. That's what that's balanced around, right? Because it's like, yeah, you've managed to cut the healing sources from all of it coming in, but you're not accounting for the fact that it's still 3 separate different sources of healing, right? Even at that point, it starts to become overhealing irregardless of
And don't forget that Olaf receives 24% lifesteal courtesy of the W, and all healing received is increased by 33%.
So it just stacks, stacks, and stacks. And it doesn't even matter. Like, look, if your healing is through the roof, doesn't matter if you cut it in half. It's already through the roof.
Mendrix, I've just noticed that Blazing Spirit sold his Executioner's Calling. The only bit of healing reduction is Thorn Mails. So as long as the Panda Olaf is aware of that, the healing reduction will never apply to him.
He can just basically move straight towards Blazing Spirit every single time. Mind you, okay, there is ignites. So he could get ignited by Shiloh on the way in to do that. That could be saving grace looking for. Sometimes that Executioner's Calling is being trotted out just for more raw damage. Sometimes that's what you need instead of it. Especially because, hey, when they think about it, hey, you know what? The healing's off the charts anyway. We're not going to be able to kill this Olaf in isolation. Let's just kill everyone else around him and then finish him after the fact. That could be their next strategy to them.
I think that has to be their hope at this point because, yeah, without the healing reduction to stop him during the fights, you're going to have to stop him once the fight is already won. But history isn't exactly favorable to Mansfield on those situations there because the last couple fights for them, some have looked pretty decent, but the moment Blazing Spirit gets caught out, unfortunately, it's good night, Princess. And look at Blazing Spirit's build here. No Guardian Angel, no QSS. The only bit of safety in his build, I suppose you could argue, is the Rapid Fire Cannon, but that's for one auto attack.
It's going to be a bit rough in that sense. It's going to be a big ask for Blazing Spirit. It's going to be all on the positioning going forward. Does have the flash, does have the heal, does have the ultimate. That's something at least. And of course, at the same time, you do have a little bit of peel coming across from the set, from the Hecarim as well. You can still rely on your teammates to make this work. But again, what you've been seeing is time and time again in those team fights, it really has been on Blazing Spirit to survive the onslaught alone and then come back into the team fight. So really now we have to see the team really pulling up their socks to make sure they can protect what seems to be their single source of damage at this moment in time. They have a little bit coming through from, of course, Ryze as well, but Ryze typically, you know, has opted in for the machine gun Ryze, but I've been seeing that Ryze just get focused and killed time and time again. I really would like to see a moment that T1 Closer does really begin to shine in this map.
And for Closer, my problem here is the Ryze just isn't good against the Olaf because you need time to set up your spells. You need time to, you know, a little bit of distance to start recycling through them. Olaf doesn't care. Olaf doesn't give you that kind of time. And unfortunately for the likes of the Ryze, it's very difficult to get time when you're just not being given it as this could be something, but doesn't let to anything else. Now, both objectives spawning within a minute of each other, right? Baron in 20, Ocean Dragon in 44. Now, you'd hope that, I'd hope that Kingsgrove actually prioritizes the Baron. Because if they trade, it's Dragon 3 for Baron.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing here. You can see they're trying to get control of it right now, but they're looking for a fight instead.
Yeah, got to be very, very careful, though. They do not have their Orianna, so I'm nervous when teams posture without their primary damage dealers. But instead, they are objecting the Soul. They think that has got a higher priority right now than the Baron itself. So that's where they're going is, well, we'll see how that goes. The Orianna, though.
Seraphine there, but wasn't able to find it.
Yeah,
you can see that. Here we go. This might be it.
Yeah, the Orianna's on the side, and they catch out the Olaf, but Olaf really isn't taking that much damage. Olaf, though, charging forward, though, needs to be careful. Where is the Shockwave? Shockwave lands only on one member of the Seraphine. Ultimate and the Malphite combination in the backline. The backline's already gone, basically, at this point, and that leaves just the front line of Mansfield left in this fight, and unfortunately, the front line does goddamn nothing against an angry Viking. The backline gone, the front line gone, the fight gone in Kingsgrove North's favor.
Look, they've managed to look. It is a one-for-one trade, but when you look at how bruised they are at this moment in time, they have no chance to make their way into it, and that was huge. The Shockwave set up the Malphite ultimate, basically allowed them to really have control of this. Kip Kangaroo could not do a thing in the middle of all of that. Same for the Malphite, but at the same time, the bruising damage had been done once everything had been used, and that is the difference here. And of course, that means they're able to now just continue to move forward, go towards this Baron as well. It looks like they're getting not just a Soul, but a Baron while they're at it.
Yeah, and I don't think Hats can do this. Hats does not have Flash. He has Ghost, which means he has to take the super long way around. And the fact that he's on Vision means that, yeah, they know he's not moving in. Realm Warp is a possibility. But I would not feel confident Realm Warping your jungler in there just to die. You might be forced to give up this objective. You're getting poked. You need to make a decision. Are you committing to the steal, or are you just going to back away? You guys, you need to make your decision sooner than later, Mansfield. It looks like they can't make up their mind. And instead of doing anything, panic consumes Mansfield's position. Mansfield's players, they lose their mid laner and the Baron to boot.
Yeah, and things just go from bad to worse here. If you're going to give up an objective, just give it up. Reposition, get yourselves back into a better spot as well. Now that they've got the Baron and the Ocean Drake underneath them as well, they've got a pretty mean siege capabilities or siege options available now, and they're just jumping into it. No need to back, no need to buy. Let's just use the advantages that we have now.
Yeah, and what little poke you do doesn't matter at this point because yeah, the healing is ridiculous. Olaf has more health and he knows what to do with Slayo. Will try buy time, but unfortunately buys nothing as two-man knock-up, and the Seraphine ultimate on 3 and the Shockwave on 2 is more than enough for what they wrote in this game. Kingsgrove will run on top of them. You just don't have the damage output, you don't have the healing cut, you don't have the execute. You ain't got nothing at this point, Mansfield. You fought like hell. You took us to a game 3, but unfortunately, this Olaf, this mad berserker in the jungle was enough to put you down for good. The Nexus turrets stand, but truly for how long? The last bits of infrastructure that they have to boot. The Olaf just doesn't die, and fountain farming will come through here, Mendrix, as that is gonna be the game. Hell, that is gonna be the series here at the Meta HSE Championship. And what a move coming out here from Kingsgrove North.
And the thing is, what I really love about that is that Mansfield was still in that. Mansfield still had the abilities to get into it. The moment they did lose out on that Ocean Soul, that's when things really fell out of their grasp. That's when things really went down the drain at that point. So they still had options to make things work, but unfortunately, in the end, the Panda Republic were just too good from start to finish in that match. And it definitely seems that because they had that Olaf just bridging the gap for the rest of the team, that they were able to push through very convincingly.
Yeah, and what a showing here from Kingsgrove North. Of course, that does mean that New South Wales can be smug in their victory here at the Winners' Finals. Of course, it's not the final challenge. This is not the final hurdle for these teams, but it's looking pretty damn good if you're in those positions there. But I feel like let's worry about the future later, Mendrix. Let's celebrate the game, and specifically the MVP of game number 3. I don't think this is going to surprise anybody.
No.
It's going to go to a Panda, surprise, surprise, and it's going to be our Panda in the jungle here on the Olaf. 24-5-10. The heart and core identity of this entire team, hell, this entire draft was on the back of this Olaf pick, and it paid its dues in full.
Yeah, I could not put that any better myself. And it really was this particular Panda just putting the rest of the team on the back for that 10 minutes and saying, hey, guys, come with you. It wasn't even them like on the back, right? He just held their hands and said, guys, we're going on an adventure, right? We're going through something here right now. Let's go through this amazing thing, and you're coming all along with me. And the rest of the team was able to do it. And it all comes down to the fact that everyone was doing their job. Oriana, Malphite, Seraphine, Saint, of course, as well on that Lulu. All of them were doing their jobs. It was just that moment in time, this Olaf really exceeded all expectations and was able to bring home a concise and very commanding win here for the Panda Republic.
Yep, and now we can take a look at us what's going to be the future, Mendrix, because obviously with the Panda Republic claiming victory, that does mean that Mansfield State High School will be dropping down into the lower brackets. Now, an update for the lower brackets, because of course we haven't really talked about that a whole lot today. Or at least not as much as we probably could have. So we did have I'm looking at the team names now. We had Murray Bridge High School, the representative from South Australia, facing off against, if I could use my eyeballs, that would be brilliant. Rosmore Senior High School, so against in the WA. Now, the representative from South Australia did fall. I mentioned that earlier, if I recall. And that means they did go up against the New Zealand representative of Botany Downs that we did get to cast earlier in the day, Mendrix. And Botany Downs will continue. So the Australians from across the lake have kept their fight. Do you call New Zealand's Australians? I feel like I've just stepped on a social landmine.
I think you did as well.
Okay, so the New Zealanders have taken that next step forwards and will be participating in the lower bracket best of 3, which will be played next week here on Meta HSE's channel. So if you're interested, take a look at that one. Their opponents are a team we got to see, Mendrix, at the start of the day.
Yeah.
Which was the... Sorry, no, not a team we saw at the start of the day. My apologies.
Okay.
No, it is. Sorry. The De La Salle, after losing the first match of the day, did fall down to the lower bracket where they had to fight the other Queensland representative of Mount Gavart. They were successful. So the Victorian representative will be facing off against the New Zealand representative next week, September the 4th at 12 p.m. AEST time in a best of 3 series. And then the winner of that will have one final hurdle waiting for them. That was, of course, the Mansfield State High School. The last Queensland representative is holding that last bastion before the finals themselves, guys. So next week's matches should be absolute bangers, Mendrix, and I'm really excited to see how they play out.
plenty of chances at redemption, plenty of options for these teams to go back, revisit their plans, reforge, and come back with something completely different. Because I know for a fact this is definitely a team that prepares in the Panda Republic. I'm pretty happy that the team that's going to be holding the mantle at the very top here. I'm sure they're going to be ready and waiting for whoever steps up to the plate.
Yeah, it'd be very fun. But guys, before we do head out, of course, I do have to one last time thank our sponsors of Torrens University, Optus, and MSI. If you're into gaming and esports, which again, hopefully you are, considering you're watching an esports stream, make sure to learn more about their game design, game programming, 3D design, animation, graphic, and communication design courses. And as of course the sponsor of Billy Blue College of Design at Torrens University, which has set up a competition of 2 PAX VIP tickets, and an online session with a professional League of Legends player or streamer from the Legacy Esports team. There is an entry form which hopefully is being put down to the Twitch chat there. Take a look at that one. Of course, it should be quite interesting. But Mendrix, on all of those notes, that is it from us here today at Meta HSC. Of course, we did have Kingsgrove North claiming the final victory here over in the championship finals. We'll see, of course, who they get to face later on. But on behalf of myself, the entire Meta HSE crew, Mendrix, I'm going to steal your words for you as well. We would like to thank everyone for participating, the players, the teachers, the students, everyone who has been involved in the tournament throughout the entire course of the year, because it's been a year-long event, guys. We'll see you next week for the lower bracket final play-ins. And other than that, guys, take care of yourselves out there, and we'll see you later.